biggest bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Hey, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Bro, less people wanted that than are currently watching our stream.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Mark It Down podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by James DeShanti. I hope everybody enjoyed their Memorial Day weekends. I hope it was very safe and fun for everyone. And hopefully some of that involved watching some of the great wrestling we had over the weekend. I haven't caught WWE Blood Money yet, but I absolutely fucking loved Double or Nothing. And we are obviously now going to talk about tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite, coming off that fantastic show from Sunday.
Before we do, I was the only one who got to cover for I almost said Forbidden Door, Double or Nothing. You said you loved it. Give me what you thought. Like, what was favorite matchup? The chaos of Anarchy in the Arena. Anything that you didn't like?
Briefly. We were right that Darby was going to light somebody on fire.
Thank God, right? Thank God Darby Allin lit Jack Perry on fire.
And I thought they did it in such a smart way, too, by having him being dunked in that water bath earlier in the match. They then, in between the parts where he was coming back from crashing the bus, they just covered him in... What's going on, Dev? Good to have you, buddy. They just covered him in like flame retardant, and it just looked like he was still wet. It was incredibly clever. I thought that was well done. The Please Help Darby chants were a nice touch. The crowd I thought was phenomenal.
Yeah, I love that.
They just really brought it on Sunday. I'm going to be honest. I watched it Monday after driving home from the Jersey Shore, so I was a little tired. I'm probably going to try to rewatch it a little more awake, but. I literally can't think of something I didn't dislike or I didn't like from the show outside of like things where I was being worked, like Willow losing and Stat turning and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's different. That's like, oh man, I'm a fan and my guy didn't win or my person didn't win.
Yeah,
as opposed to, oh, this was bad. So totally, that's awesome.
Yeah, honestly, I thought everything. I love the show top to bottom, and once again, AEW puts on another phenomenal pay-per-view. And Absolutely. Now that we're getting more of them, hopefully they can remain consistent with that. Obviously, it's going to be hard when you're doing it almost monthly, or I guess kind of bi-monthly at this point. It's closer to monthly at this point. Like I said, though, it gets more difficult when you do it monthly as opposed to quarterly. So hopefully they can continue to streak with Forbidden Door next month. But let's get into Dynamite, as we started with something I just kind of referenced, the celebration of Mercedes Moné becoming your new TBS champion. Again, I was sad, even though it makes a lot of sense to put the title on Moné very quickly. But Mercedes comes out, and she is obviously here to talk shit and celebrate becoming your new TBS champion. Mercedes mentions Willow quickly, saying she had the run of her career with the title and gave her the fight of her life. But she does reference the fact that Willow is too nice of a person because Mercedes saw clear as day that Statlander and Stokely were going to turn on her. However, despite their recent rivalry, Mercedes hopes that Willow kicks their ass upon returning. Mercedes then turns her attention to the future, saying that being both the CEO of AEW and the new TBS champion puts a target on her back. She begins to say that with Forbidden Door coming up, she's ready to something, but she gets cut off by Sky Blue appearing up on the Tron. Sky runs the footage of Mercedes being attacked during her interview a few weeks ago when we never saw the assailant, and she comes back claiming it to be some of her finest work. However, that'll be nothing compared to what she does next. We then cut to Mercedes in the ring, yelling at Sky to come out, and Sky obliges. However, she comes out from the audience and blindsides Mercedes from behind. Sky then takes Mercedes, gets her up in a fireman's carry before face planting her, and then grabs the title and puts her knee on Mercedes' neck, holding it there while she holds the title above Mercedes. She then stands and holds the title up while standing over Moné, and then leaves, and we see Moné recovering while regaining her championship. James, this was an interesting opening segment. I was curious to see how they were going to play this out. We learned very quickly how they're going to play it out because Shivani mentioned the fact that Tony Khan was going to have something to say on this later, which we'll get to in a bit. But I did enjoy it. But to answer Danny's question real quick, is Mercedes a face or a heel? Right now, she's a face because she's dealing with the heel in Sky Blue. But one of those things where they can play her whichever way they need to, depending on who's facing.
I think they're going to keep her as a face for the next month going into Forbidden Door because, and we'll get into her what is most likely. Yeah, we'll get into the particulars of that as we get in later on the show. But I think they sort of gave themselves an out because she never really turned heel against Willow during the feud. She was aggressive and she had an axe to grind against Willow, but realistically, you could still write that off as this person injured me. I'm pissed about it. And this is a very personal feud. She never out and out did anything that was the actions of a heel.
Maybe grabbing the title during the contract signing, but that's about it. That was the closest I think we ever got.
There was the line was she skirted it really closely, but she never really crossed it.
Yeah.
So,
and you could even argue during the match at Forbidden Door, she fought heel-ish, but she never tried to cheat, she never crossed the line, and she won clean. Exactly.
So they have the out for the next month or so. I think the sooner they realize the fans are just going to enjoy her more as a heel and they embrace that, I think the better it'll be for everybody. I think her as a heel champion does more for that title than trying to force her into sticking as a babyface. But I don't mind it for the next month. I don't mind it for Forbidden Door. I thought the segment was fine. I thought the segment was okay. It fits her character as this delusional love me person to have this celebration, which it shouldn't inherently be a heelish thing to have a celebration after a win. But for her, it does fit into that, look at me, I'm the champion.
Yeah. Well, Willow had one too. I mean, to counter that.
No, for sure. Like I said, it's not an inherently heel thing. Yeah. But depending on how it's played, it could be. Like, I don't know if you watched all of her bit against Willow on Sunday, but did you see her entrance, how grand it was? And
I watched the whole show. I did watch the whole show.
And it fits in with that. What happened?
I fell asleep a little bit towards the end of it, but I was able. I forced myself to stay up for Anarchy in the Arena. I nodded during Swerve's match a little.
I get it. I talked about on the review for it that it started too slow, in my opinion.
Yeah, but, and not because of the match, because I was exhausted and I only slept like 4 hours in 3 days.
I understand. But I think they're good. I'm glad that they solved the mystery of Sky Blue being the attacker. Just we got it out of the way now. She's past the feud with Willow. Willow is very clearly going to go on to feud with Kris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway. So let's just end the mystery. We have it. It is what it is. And now if she is going to turn heel, it's not something that's going to be left as a lingering question mark while she's a heel.
Yeah.
So I think everything worked out the way it did. And I'm really excited to see Sky Blue, who, again, we love Sky. We know the role she's in, where she's kind of a feeder for other people.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see her stepping up even without Julia Hart around. And there is no world where Statlander is the good guy against Willow Nightingale. If you wanted to make that against anybody else, they had it coming. She did the right thing. Sure. Never against Willow Nightingale. Danny, who said that?
I know it's Danny. It's just, what are you doing, bud?
That's for our audio fans. But
fair enough.
Danny saying Willow is the problem. Never. Not true.
You're Impossible. The problem.
You're the problem. You're the problem. Well, let's keep it going.
Yeah, but like you said, I thought this set up the next few women's segments throughout the show nicely. Another thing where AEW decided to create a thread throughout most of the show, not all the show, but a good chunk of the show. And I do like when they do that because it just makes things feel a lot more cohesive. So, all right, moving on. We then had a quick segment where we saw the Elite arrive at Dynamite and then did a entire Double or Nothing recap video package. And then we moved on to Swerve Strickland versus Killswitch in a corporate tie-in Who's House match. That's what it was dubbed as, but no free ads here. I will jump towards the end of the match where we had Killswitch hit a choke slam that Swerve was able to kick out of. So Killswitch dragged Swerve over towards the apron and set up his head right at the edge of it with his chin facing down. Killswitch then went into the timekeeper's area and grabbed a chair, and he was going to clearly swing it and try to break Swerve's neck. However, his hesitation in doing so allowed Prince Nana to come around and take the chair from Killswitch, which Killswitch punched out of his hands, which was kind of cool. But then Nana ran away. This also allowed Swerve time to recover, and he was able to get up and lay in some kicks from the apron onto Killswitch before hitting him with a Swerve Stomp to the outside. Strickland then gets Killswitch back into the ring, and he goes up top for another Swerve Stomp, but Killswitch sits up and then using that shock value is able to go up to Swerve and get him down from the top rope, hitting a slam and then a standing moonsault that Swerve is forced to kick out of. Killswitch then gets Swerve up and sets up for his Extinction Lariat, where Swerve then counters and hits a German suplex, which he followed up with a house call. Swerve then went back up top, finally hitting the Swerve Stomp, but Killswitch emphatically kicks out at 2, sitting there just really, really hyped up. So Swerve just absolutely, I think, nailed him with a kick and then nailed him with another house call and kept Killswitch down for the 1, 2, 3 and the W. After the match, Prince Nana got into the ring and handed Killswitch handed Swerve a pair of scissors, which Swerve then used to cut the braid off of Killswitch's head, giving him some recompense and retribution for when. Cool. Oh, so you're going to be chewing for a while? Great. Anyway, that gives him recompense and restitution and revenge and all sorts of things for when Killswitch ripped the braid out of Swerve's head. James, I like this match. It was nice to see Killswitch actually be able to do some serious wrestling for the first time in what feels like a while. I always liked him in the ring, and obviously he had really good chemistry with Swerve tonight. This was just another good match with Swerve. We're making him a fighting champion because I think that's probably the best way to make a guy whose demeanor is such that Swerve's is to become a face where he's just like, I'll take on anybody, anywhere, anytime because I'm the baddest motherfucker here. Similar to what Samoa Joe was doing, but he's a bad motherfucker in a different way. Yeah. And just a lot of good stuff from all these guys tonight. And I did like that Swerve was able to, take some of Killswitch's hair there and get his revenge for the dread being ripped out.
I agree. I mean, I am going to say, like, Danny is right, even if it is unfortunate, that the haircut, he said the haircut spot was garbage. It was so clear that the hair was attached to his mask because Swerve pulled the strap. It didn't look great. It legit, unfortunately, it didn't look great.
Honestly, I thought it was because the hair was just caught up in the strap, but I did see the strap. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. But
I don't think it was the worst thing, but it was noticeable. But granted, this is also the same wrestler that we were forced to believe he was debilitated by the fact that somebody cut off the horns of his mask. Was that also Swerve, by the way?
Damn, it could have been.
But
that was a while ago.
Yeah, right? Regardless, I thought the match was great. I loved Luchasaurus, because that's his name, kicking out of the Swerve Stomp with ease and hulking up afterwards. I'm glad he lost. He should lose to the world champion, but it was a nice moment to sort of build him up again and to show that he is a physical and imposing threat. It's just, that's how good Swerve is. So good matchup between both guys. I agree with you. It's always great to see, I'll go back to it, Killswitch getting a win, and not getting a win, but being able to highlight himself and showcase himself, because so often recently he's just been the heavy or the muscle for Christian Cage and the patriarchy.
Yeah.
So good spot, good matchup. I have no problem personally with Swerve wrestling this much. I don't know when it became a thing that we are just not expected to see our world champions wrestle on TV. Like, I'm okay with that with heel champions. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the heel champion not really wrestling on TV because, oh, you've got to earn the opportunity to face me. I don't mind a babyface champion wrestling either every week or every other week. I want to see him wrestle during his reign. Just because you become champion doesn't mean I go from seeing you wrestle every week to once a month. That sucks to me personally. So I have no problem with him wrestling this match, and if he's gonna have to wrestle anybody, at least it's a follow-up because Killswitch is still acting under Christian Cage. He was probably trying to get revenge for Christian Cage from the pay-per-view. So no, none of this bothered me, and I really liked it. I really enjoyed the matchup, and I'm really enjoying Nana being back with Swerve.
He adds so much to Swerve's character, and like it not that Swerve couldn't handle things by himself. Obviously, he was doing fine without him, but Nana just makes you smile, man. I really like him.
Hold on, let's just real quick. What's up?
You know it.
Hope you're doing
Thanks,
well.
Coke.
Damn it.
I did like his comment here. It was like, what? A prop fail in wrestling? I've never heard of such a thing. Danny following up with, yep, an unfortunate first ever. I mean, look, shit happens, you know. I don't know if that was egregious enough to end up on Botchamania, but whatever.
Truth be told, I would have to re-look at it. I remember thinking, oh man, that doesn't look great, but I don't remember it looking as bad as we're discussing. So I'll give it a look later. If only we had a producer boy who could pull it up for us.
I did want to follow. I do agree with you. I did like that they gave us this matchup tonight because it did help close a loop, not just on everything Christian Cage, but also too. I think it also, closed the loop on the Dread thing and Swerve getting his revenge, and now we can move on to his next contender, which obviously we found out who that would be later tonight. Quick side note here for a question from Hunter Iggy. What's going on, dude?
Hey, Hunter.
What are your thoughts about Ethan Page's debut on NXT? I only saw he showed up. I didn't see the actual debut. I meant to watch it, forgot. But I think it's interesting, James. I never saw him as a WWE guy, but maybe just because he's never been there. But he seems like a dude who could really fit in NXT.
So I'm gonna agree with some of that, and I'm gonna disagree with some of it. The writing on the wall for Ethan Page to go to WWE has been there for a while. He's very friendly with Cody Rhodes. He is a good worker, but he's a better character guy. So him making that jump to WWE makes a little bit more sense. I don't see him. I kind of agree with Danny a little bit here in the comments that he looks weird in NXT. I think he's got the ability to just go straight to the main roster, but he's going to be a great fit for the mid card in WWE. That's not a knock on him. That's not saying the guy can't get the occasional world title shot on the main roster, but he is going to be a great slot for the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title, or at least going for them, if not necessarily winning it. So I'm all for it. I think I was sad to not see him utilized the way I think he should have been in AEW. So if this is the right move for him, I'm happy for him. We're definitely starting to see the tide turn and where people are jumping back and forth from. We're seeing now, and granted, a lot of that has to do with contract issues. A lot of that has to do with in general. I'm sure there will be a string of WWE guys jumping over at one point or another to AEW again. But right now, we are seeing quite a few people making the jump either to for the first time or back to WWE. So good for Ethan Page. Not the most exciting thing to happen in NXT last night. We're all about
Definitely
Forbidden
not.
Door. What? Oh yeah, we're all
Definitely
about
not.
we're all about Forbidden Door here tonight on Wednesday for AEW. But realistically, we're seeing I got to come up with a name for what WWE and TNA are doing, But we have the TNA Knockouts champion going after the NXT championship at an NXT pay-per-view coming up as TNA Knockouts world champion Jordynne Grace challenged Roxanne Perez for the NXT women's title. This is super exciting. This is something that even 5 months ago would have felt unfathomable to me. I wouldn't have been able to process it. I'm still having trouble processing it, but I'm super happy for Jordynne Grace. I'm super happy for the exposure this will hopefully bring TNA. And let's just see. Great synergy from these companies.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll cover it more tomorrow on the Gym Pack Zone where you can really get in-depth in it. I did want to just quickly go to Eric's comment saying that Paige could join Theory. He called, again, Grayson Waller, a.k.a. the Australian. Honestly, not a terrible fit. Like
He'd be a great fit for them. He'd be a great fit for them.
Yeah, they're all very similar there. So
I want to just say thank you to Video Game. Can I say that word? Yeah, no, we're 21 minutes. Video Game Gooner 58 saying, "Hey guys, great show tonight. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and thank you for being here. Tell us what you thought of the show. Tell us what you thought of AEW Dynamite tonight, or if there's anything else you wanted to talk about."
All right, one more question from Hunter here. We'll just cover this really quick. Who else do you see from the, I guess he said the 10 releases from AEW going into NXT. I get the most recent AEW string of releases. I honestly can't remember most of them off the top of my head, except the boys, which was a fucking sin. But
the way they handled it and the way they're acting afterwards, see ya. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
Yeah, not really cool. And I don't know about anybody that was recently already released, but I can say moving forward, expect Ricky Starks.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't want to see it, but I think that'll eventually happen. There's just too much stuff with Cody there. I think he's even tight with Paige too, and just they're not doing anything with him, and they weren't doing any, or they were trying to do stuff with him, and he just kept we talk about this all the time, stopping and starting and stopping and starting due to injuries or hump exploding or whatever the hell it is. And he's been stuck there. And unfortunately, WWE would be a good spot for him to try to go after it again. And we'll see what happens there.
But before we do move on, just want to say we do have a good amount of people in the chat tonight. We do have a good amount of viewers tonight. So I just wanted to say thank you for joining us. If you're not a follower of ours, please, hit that subscribe button. Stick around. We talk about all the wrestling, all the weeks, all the months, all the years until we die. So we're going to have a lot of fun together if you want to stick around. And of course, please hit that like button. We do appreciate it. And we're not Chris Jericho. We're not going to push Blue Chew on you.
That was a large commitment saying so we die, but okay. Moving on, we came back from commercial to Tony Schiavone relaying that Tony Khan has officially made Mercedes Moné against Sky Blue for the TBS Championship later in the evening. So that match will be to come. Yeah. But I like that. See, I like that they did it tonight. Yes. I was just like, okay, how long are we going to do? We're going to do this next week. We're going to do this in 2 weeks because we got to get to Forbidden Door pretty quickly here. Yeah. I don't mind. And I think this was just a better idea because you get Mercedes wrestling tonight. By the way, she can clearly still go.
Yeah. I really did enjoy the match tonight too.
Yeah, and which we will get to. But we get this out of the way, and again, close another loop with the attack there. So I thought it was a brilliant move doing this match tonight.
I also think it's not something we want to see every week. Where, well, if that attack didn't happen, what was the card going to be if they didn't put that match in? Because I know that is a common complaint. We want to believe that the show is booked before people walk into the building. But I could headcanon it that Mercedes celebration was supposed to go a little bit longer. And because it got interrupted, it turned into the matchup. And it should be noted that as we are in the middle of what is turning out to be very interesting contract negotiations between AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery, executives from Warner Brothers Discovery were at the show tonight. And I'm sure Tony wanted to put on a very exciting and energetic matchup or a card, and having a match with your newly crowned TBS champion is a good way of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, not just her. This entire card was energetic, especially that main event, which I cannot wait to get to. But we'll move on from that announcement as we went to a backstage promo from one Jon Moxley. Mox had an IWGP World Heavyweight Championship Eliminator match with Rocky Romero later in the night. So he begins his promo by praising Rocky, saying that he can beat anyone in the world on any given night. So taking this match with one arm is a bad idea since he is obviously not 100%. But when is he ever 100%? It's Rocky tonight, then it's Evil at Dominion, then he's got Bloodsport, then he's got Forbidden Door. It's just a never-ending cycle. It'll be the same as it was in the beginning, because for 5 years now, he's been the man who stands atop New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW and wherever the hell else he wants. Well, good quick promo to set up his match later. We then went back to the ring where we had a news segment called TV Time with the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho. The Learning Tree, I'm pretty sure, is that thing that controls them all in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Anyway, Big Bill introduces Jericho, and Jericho comes down, and he actually allows Big Bill to, I believe, finish some things he didn't before Jericho's music hit. And Big Bill spouts off some bullshit about trees or leaves falling in the fall of the trees before growing back stronger and brighter in the spring. I don't know, some fucking Mr. Miyagi lesson that Jericho was trying to teach him. Jericho then shows off his new Learning Tree University t-shirt, thanking everybody for buying it and thanking all of his branches throughout the world for continuing his legacy. He then moves on to say that while he retained his title at Double or Nothing, both Hook and Shibata were really tough guys, and drops him on his head to the point where it is still hurting today. Jericho then introduces the newest person to come into the shade of the Learning Tree, Bounty Hunter Brian Keith.
I'm so sorry.
Obviously the man who helped him retain on Sunday. I got mixed feelings about it. Let me get through this. Jericho asked Keith why he wanted to get caught up in the Jericho vortex, and Keith responds that he couldn't stand the lack of respect that Jericho is given despite all of his accolades throughout his career, naming a bunch of them, including being an 8-time world champion, and then going off on the crowd for disrespecting Jericho when they start up a shut the fuck up chant, which I don't know if that was directed at Jericho or Keith, but either way, I thought Keith played off really well, screaming at people in the front row to respect Jericho. Jericho then calmed Keith down, reminding him that this is a learning moment, not a yelling moment, even though he respects Keith for being a bad man. Big Bill then jumps in with another terrible fucking quip, saying more like a bad apple, Chris? And Chris turns that bullshit around into even more bullshit, saying that the bad apple doesn't fall far from the learning tree. Jericho then gets interrupted by Hook's music, and Hook comes down, but he is stopped at the bottom of the ramp by some lowly security guards who start getting tossed around like rag dolls until Hook's quest to get to Jericho is interrupted by Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe comes down, gets between Hook and the ring, whispers something into Hook's ear, and then walks off. Hook stares down Jericho and then decides to follow Joe to the back. So, James, I know you're chomping at the bit because you're right. We're getting the Joe and Hook thing. Maybe Shibata. We'll see how we set that up. Let me get my Brian Keith take off really quick. Am I annoyed he's with Jericho? Yes. Am I happy to see this guy get probably some good exposure now because he's with Jericho? Also, yes. And as we said the last couple of weeks, I'm really not hating Jericho and what he's doing as much as I had been, because he's clearly just steered into the skid here, and it's fucking worked, as annoyed as I am that it worked. It absolutely worked. So I will suck it up and be thankful that Brian Keith is getting some TV time. And we're also getting this Joe Hook thing, James, and I'm actually very, very excited about that.
I think I agree with every point you just made. It's weird because I want better for Brian Keith, but at the same time, I think this is the first time I've heard him speak.
Yes, I'm sure he's spoken on AEW television before, or at least Ring of Honor television, but every time I've seen him, it's just been in matches. So this is definitely the first time I've heard him cut a promo, and he was very good at it.
He was. He did everything he needed to very well. and he came across the way he was trying to portray himself as this angry, hungry young guy. So good job for Brian Keith. And yeah, let's see what comes next for him. My fear is he's going to be the fall guy for the team. I don't want that to be the case, because Jericho only has these guys to be his fall guys, and they're not going to have Big Bill be eating pins like that. So I am a little worried that Brian Keith is going to be their fall guy. But
definitely the downside to being with Jericho. But
yeah. But no, I am over the moon about Hook and Joe. I am so excited. I am so happy. I'm so ready. I just seeing, and we'll talk about it. There was a segment with them later on. Just seeing these two guys walking next to each other, standing side by side, they feel like a threat. They feel like an imposing force. And that's what you want. That's what you want. I think this is a great, great grouping. I think, oh boy.
Keep going. Let them keep going.
I think everybody, all 5 for tonight, but I'm sure it'll be 6 when Shibata comes back. I think all 6 men are now benefiting from what's coming, from these two new trios that have formed.
Yeah, I fully agree as we wait for a special surprise guest to join us in a second. But yeah, I think obviously, like I said, the exposure for Keith is going to be good. Hopefully people really like him. I've already enjoyed his in-ring stuff. Yeah. And hopefully we get to see a little more personality outside of the fact that he wears a really badass hat. Yeah. Obviously, I think this Big Bill tonight was incredibly cringeworthy with what he said.
But that's the point.
Yeah, it was obviously the point. So I actually think he did his job pretty well. And Jericho's being a disingenuous prick. So that's all going well. And then, Dev saying, I think Kris needs to go back to WWE. I don't think right now I can see him doing a run there, maybe, or at least being in a Royal Rumble again. But I don't know. I don't think he needs to go back to WWE. If you asked me that a month ago, maybe. Or at least remember, I was just saying he had to go away.
Yeah, I think that's the bigger thing, just time away in general. But I don't know what he gets from going back to WWE, and I don't know what WWE gets from bringing him back one way or the other. Like, it's never going to be a negative to have him show up for them, but what is the positive?
Yes. All right. Well, you want to do it?
I've been called upon. Making his grand return to Wednesday nights, recovering from a debilitating injury that kept his thumb just forcibly broken. Our friend, our hero, our savior, I guess, Skibbo.
He left
so much. I hate him so much. I need you guys to know.
Top tier.
I need you guys to know. I love Danny so much. I think the guy is so funny. I think he's so charismatic. I call him a friend. I think he hates me. I think he hates me.
Top drawer, Kensington. That was fucking great. I'm so glad you actually saw that message into the intro.
for those that don't know, for those who can't see, obviously, when we're doing our thing here and we're potting and we've got our setup here, we have a whole screen that we can see that you guys can't. And not to pull the curtain up. This isn't Oz, but
pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
I was betrayed just now. I was betrayed by a man who came and went, and I don't think I'll ever recover.
That was just, oh god. Danny's upset Skibbo didn't join. That's a shame.
Is this a Sami Zayn El Generico situation?
Stop breaking kayfabe, James. Or Nick Kevin. All right. Anyway, I before I have to put up the Rev has lost control of this episode, let me move on. Next up, we got a video package for Stephanie. I believe it's Vaquer is how I'm pronouncing that. Vaquer, thank you. Yeah. She is the NWGP NWD, whatever, the New Japan Strong Women's Champion. She's also the CMLL Women's Champion, and she's the CMLL World Women's Tag Team Champion. Oh, there's Skibbo. Hey, bud.
Which Skibbo were you talking to? Because anyway,
the one with the picture.
fair enough. Let me just say, oh my God, wow, did they play a video package for someone so that the audience could get to know them? Crazy. What a novel concept that I'm sure they came up with themselves.
And of course, they did it for somebody who's not even on their roster. They did it for another company's star.
Which makes more sense if you think about it. But whatever. I would like to say that the learning tree stuff, it turns out it's actually really not that good. I thought it was, but then I realized I was wrong. And it's really not that good. It's kind of like, it's a little cute, and then it becomes real annoying. It's a 2-week gimmick.
So what don't you like about it? What's annoying about it?
It's not. It's
Jericho.
Mostly it's Jericho, my 4th favorite of all time. Jericho is the problem here, but it's one thing to acknowledge the problem, but you're not doing anything about it. Like, you're making a character out of it, but it's not that good that it offsets all the bad stuff. It hasn't hit that point yet. It's just like, it's kind of funny that he acknowledges the joke, but it's like, we're joking because we want you to stop, we want you to go away for a bit. So it's like, what's the point? What good can come out of this?
So I talked about it briefly on Sunday after the pay-per-view, that this is all a lot more tolerable for me, and this is a lot more, I can accept it more because of how uninvolved it is with the greater AEW show. The title he has isn't even really an AEW title. Wait, hold on, what's Kevin say?
Yeah, I immediately started laughing.
Jericho's retirement match is going to be the complete opposite of Sting's retirement match. I can't wait. See, no, there will be one common factor. Jericho's going to put himself over in the end.
He's also going to be
true.
70.
Yeah. And it's also going to be way worse of a match. Not as cool. Yep. And we're not going to feel bad about it. We're going to be happy that it's over.
But he's holding a title that doesn't matter. He's getting guys on TV who haven't been on TV anyway, who I'm glad are getting some exposure. And at the very least, like I was just saying with Rev before you hopped on, he's going to be at least partially responsible for helping navigate a new trio that I'm very excited exists in Joe, Hook, and Shibata. So far, there are positives that are coming out of it. Could we argue that it would still just be a better show if Jericho wasn't on it? Sure. But it's not like back when he was teaming with Kenny and going against the Don Callis family that we were watching all these talents that we love and we wanted to see doing other things just be sucked into this vortex that we couldn't enjoy.
But that is what happened.
I found the problem, or Kevin found the problem. Jericho has been completely lost without Jake Hager. That is exactly the problem.
I would die if he followed Hager back to WWE.
I would be shocked if Hager got a spot on the main roster.
I could see him going back to NXT, though.
Yeah.
I could see him going to NXT, being like a good heavy for NXT and having like young talent go over him. I could see that happening.
Trick beating him would be a really good notch in his belt.
Yeah, it would be. It would be.
But you see, the good that you just saw to come out of it was Jericho. He's the reason that Hook, Shibata, and Joe are going to team up to probably feud with Jericho for 7-8 weeks, 5 months. Who knows? You never know how a Jericho feud's going to go. If anything, you should have been upset because you're like, oh no, now there's three of them, and 3 of them. Fuck, this has to continue.
I don't know. Just because we talked about it a few weeks ago. There's a real fear after you lose the world title, whether you're a man or a woman, that you just go away for a while. So at least Joe is doing something. because realistically, we could have not had him for the next month or two. So this to me is at least still better than the alternative. And again, I agree. Could you have gotten there with somebody else in that Jericho role? Sure, absolutely.
Hold on, James. This question's not for you.
Okay.
Oh, it's the Mets. It's
Yeah.
the fucking Mets. It's the Mets. They had a reliever call them the worst team in the league today after he threw his glove into the stands.
Weren't you
It's the
guys kind of
fucking
on the
Mets.
rise again? Like, weren't you like bouncing back a
No.
little while ago?
No,
That was like 3 weeks ago, and it's been downhill since then.
Gotcha.
it's bad.
I'm sorry for your
It's-
struggles.
It's fine. We're gonna.
Oh, that's a kill shot for you know it. It's a close call at the plate. Oh man.
That was rude.
Oh, Pete
Well,
was safe. That was
look,
bullshit. It was interference.
On
I
the
was
bright
at that
side,
game.
on the bright side, Angel Hernandez retired.
Yes,
And I think all baseball fans can rejoice in that regard.
he's gone. Ding dong, the witch is dead.
Fared thee well, asshole. What were we talking about? Baseball?
Jericho. So
All right. Well, I don't want to say anything more about that. I just think this is like not something that's sustainable, and he needs to make an actual change to this soon. Otherwise, it's going to be just as stale.
I don't think it's going to last that long because I do think, well, the way it's currently going, because I do think that this facade he keeps putting up, obviously him being so fake, Shivani calls him out on it every time he opens his mouth. I do think that will eventually give way to, you know, him being the absolute douchebag that he clearly is, you know, portraying. So I think we'll see a shift in the, you know, in the tone. Angel Hernandez, Eric.
He knows. He knows. He knows.
So,
The only reason he doesn't know is because he saw it on the Tom Brady roast. But he knows.
So yeah, I do think it'll come around eventually, but
Let's see. No one is bigger than Taz. I mean, I love Taz, but he's a famously short wrestler. Famously short wrestler. But I love Taz.
Would you fight him?
Would I fight Taz?
Yeah.
He's a human.
I would fight
Absolutely
Taz
not.
of today. I would fight Taz of today with the bad neck and apparently the bad
knees.
I'd say I have like a 25% chance, like, of walking out of it still.
Didn't you pop your shoulder out of its socket recently?
So did I tell you what my physical therapist said to me the other day, or said about me the other day?
It sounds like he made fun of you, so no, he didn't tell me.
I was at my second session, and I'm in like my private room doing my exercises and, you know, just getting my shoulder a little bit stronger. And my therapist, he's like the head of the place. And he was walking around the facility with, I guess, like a prospective employee. And he stops by my room, and I guess he doesn't know that I can hear him. And he goes to her, and this is James Gisanti. He's been with us just for a little bit. He's working on his shoulder. It's dislocated a few times. He's here to strengthen the shoulder. But yeah, he's definitely going to need surgery. And I was like, God damn it, man. Why am I here then? I'm supposed to be here for another 5 weeks. Why are you telling me? Why do you know right now I'm still going to need surgery?
And you're a hypochondriac? That's crazy.
Yeah. He said you're a hypochondriac. No, he didn't. He said the opposite. But
Did he say anything about why you eat spaghetti with 2 forks?
Is that a thing?
I don't even know how you do that. Like, do you use one to like hold it and then the other one to spin it? Or do you like...
You're the one who does it. You tell us.
I've seen people who don't really know how to eat spaghetti do it with like a spoon, but you know, so like you twirl it in the spoon to like give you like a little bit of an easier way to get it around the fork.
You know, Kevin's bringing the real question.
I don't
eat
really
spaghetti.
I
don't either, honestly.
I
eat
like
it when it's served to me.
I like rigatoni.
Yeah, it's one of my least favorite of the pastas, honestly.
What is your favorite pasta?
I don't. It depends on it. I can't choose. I'm too Italian. It's got to be. Sometimes I love a good bow tie, you know. But sometimes I love rigatoni. Sometimes,
Capiatelli.
you know, yeah, rigatoni is kind of goated.
What about you, Rob?
But sometimes I feel like a child and I just want the little logs, and that's like
I
that's
say
all I want.
Capiatelli.
All right, fair.
Yeah. Also, penne is just like probably like the easiest one too.
Yeah.
Like it's so
Penne
versatile.
and ZD.
Yeah.
Hand in hand.
Well, sometimes you need the ridges though, so you gotta get the penne.
Yeah.
All right, let's get off of this tangent. I'll talk pasta all night. Next up, we had our Jon Moxley versus Rocky Romero match. Again, this was an IWGP World Heavyweight Championship Eliminator match.
Emphasis on Eliminator, guys.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Obviously, Mox is still injured from Sunday, specifically his left arm, which he had gone into that match with hurt. And then Takeshita really worked it over. So Rocky, followed suit, attacked that arm early and often, eventually leading to him getting a flying armbar pretty much from like in the middle of the ropes towards the end of the match. It looks like he's got Mox there for a second, but Mox is able to eventually maneuver his way back to his feet and just stomp Rocky in the head until he is forced to release the hold. Rocky then gets up and the two exchange some lariats and a couple other shots until Rocky hits the ropes and he's just taken out by a huge lariat from Moxley. Mox then gets Rocky up to the Death Rider and hits him with it, and Moxley is able to pick up the win. So, honestly, look, this is Rocky Romero versus Jon Moxley. It's a good match. James, I have no complaints about this. It was great. I loved it. You know what's saying, though. Spaghetti comes from a can. It was put there by a man. I don't... What spaghetti comes from cans? SpaghettiOs?
I don't.
Skyline chili? No, you have to put the chili on the spaghetti. But yeah, James, good match.
I really enjoyed it. I was surprised by how much offense Rocky got in, but I also love the fact that he was aggressive from bell to bell. Like he took advantage of an injured Mox. So I thought that was really cool, and I'm enjoying this Moxley IWGP World Title reign. I know there are a lot of New Japan fans who aren't thrilled right now, but I can also say the alternative would be Naito as champion, and I still love Naito, I really do, but he wouldn't be doing much with the title. So I'm more than okay with this run. I think he's getting some good defenses in. He had the match against Shota at Resurgence. He had.
Sorry, I gotta circle back to this because I didn't want to think he made a really good reference and then nobody noticed it. He did a play on the song "Peaches" by the Presidents of the United States of America, where they say "Peaches come in a can." It was put there by a man. And that's a deep pull to the point where I thought Kevin made the comment, and I was going to just ignore it and chuckle to myself. But great call. I'm more of a Kitty fan by them. That's my go-to Presidents of the United States song. But Peaches is probably is their best one. It's a classic. But yeah. That's all. And now he's coming in with the delay. But so maybe he hasn't heard. I just went over that.
That was perfect timing.
Yeah,
that was a perfectly timed comment.
Anyway, so Mox, yeah, he punched a guy and stuff.
Yeah,
you were saying.
Yep.
He had a good defense against Shota. He had a good defense against Ren Narita. He's got one coming up against Evil, and he had one against Powerhouse Hobbs. So he's representing the title well, in my opinion.
Yeah. Plus, obviously, the great Eliminator match against Takeshita on Sunday.
Yeah, a great Eliminator match too.
Is he representing it well in New Japan's opinion?
Well, yeah, New Japan likes it. It's the New Japan fans that don't, because that's the thing that I think a lot of the fans don't understand. This run is being booked by New Japan with input from Tony.
Yeah.
I think the only thing Tony really cares about is that Moxley doesn't really just lose to whoever. And New Japan wants that title exposed. They want that title on display. So I think the only fans that are upset are the New Japan fans. I don't think any AEW fans are really upset with this. I think it was the New Japan fans who were freaking out about the whole title eliminator thing with Takeshita in the first place. And I guess Hobbs to a lesser extent. But I I think he's doing a great job. He's showing up everywhere. He even showed up at Revolver at Sandy Callahan's company.
Cool.
So,
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. So I think he's doing a great job. Does anyone else have the suspicion that Mox has fallen off the wagon?
Nope.
I don't think so. I think he's probably getting a little run down, which we do see happen from time to time. But without baselessly speculating on my part, having seen what he looked like when he's fallen off the wagon versus how he just looks right now, I think he's just tired.
I mean, he's also been running back and forth between America and Japan, having to defend that title. So, dude's, like you said, he's probably exhausted. He's probably been in like 10 different time zones in the last 3 weeks.
And what do you beg to differ with, Eric, in the comments?
But yeah, back to this match. I enjoyed the match. I'm enjoying this title run. I do think it's a little more for American audiences than Japanese audiences or even hardcore New Japan audiences here in America. But like you said, James, it's for the exposure of this title. And considering Forbidden Doors coming up, this was the perfect time to do this and put it on Moxley. And they just had a couple of recent shows in America. So I thought it was a smart move by New Japan. You can disagree with the booking, but hey, it's their booking. Rocky Romero is backstage for a reason. Yeah. He's not only wrestling for them a lot, but he's essentially their, he's New Japan's liaison. So, take it up with them. Danny, did you, I don't know how much of the show you saw, what you did or didn't see. Did you see this match? And if you did you enjoy it?
Man, I was really trying to get away without having to answer that kind of question directly. But, guys,
okay, so moving on. No.
Do you like my shirt? It's Pikachu holding a cup of coffee. Two things that are very, very important to me. Coffee on the president of Japan, which ties in. So, that's the main reason I came on was to show that off and to talk about Kris Statlander is the good guy and Willow's the bad guy.
Nope.
And Orange Cassidy should exclusively go back to coming out to Where Is My Mind. And that's the biggest mistake AEW will ever make. Nothing else compares. I will not hear any other bullshit. I won't hear any half-ass non-starter arguments from fans that don't even watch. I am saying right here and now that that's the company's biggest problem.
I mean, he used to come out to Jane on the Indies right before AEW, so I think that's why he went back. But Where Is My Mind does fit perfectly for him, and I do think they can use both when he has to do certain matches like he did later in the night. He uses Where Is My Mind, whereas when he came out for his segment with Don, he used Jane. So I would like for them to try to mix in both where they can.
I think the ideal scenario, is that with every Anarchy in the Arena, we get music playing in the background. Just have Orange's put him in an Anarchy in the Arena and have his music playing during the match.
They can do both songs then. They can alternate.
Yeah. And it won't cost them $500,000 the way it did on Sunday.
Honestly, worth every dime. Let's move on because I did want to get to the Orange Cassidy stuff, but we quickly got to get through a backstage interview with Hook and Samoa Joe. Renee goes up to them and asks what happened out there between them, what was said. And Joe says that they have just learned their first lesson. They do not exist on their time, them being, Jericho or whoever. Dangerous men exist on their own time. So badass line. Kevin, that's my guy. Yeah, for sleeping on flights. Yes, in the comments saying he has trouble sleeping on Kevin saying that is my guide. I think ambient. I will let you guys know how I sleep on airplanes in September.
Where you go?
Every time?
Ireland. So
Oof.
My first transcontinental flight, and I'm gonna be in Ireland at 7:00 in the morning. So I gotta try to sleep. But unfortunately, my body clock currently has me going to bed at 7:00 in the morning Ireland time. So
you have until September.
Yeah, it's not gonna.
Oh my.
But wait.
Wait.
No, we got to do it.
I'm not putting that. No. Moving on.
Look, it's a wait.
I'm ignoring it.
No, question about not about that. Not about that. First of all, don't worry. Kevin's brother works in the World Trade Center. It's safe now. But what you ever see that episode of It's Always Sunny where they're on the plane?
Yes.
They try to.
Oh, the Wade Boggs episode.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
That does feel like something that group. I know the group that's going on that trip. That does feel like something that group would do.
Yeah, you're gonna do that.
Might be the only way I could sleep on the plane, but we'll see.
I have a superpower that I can fall asleep the moment I sit down in the seat on the plane, and then I wake up maybe like with a half hour to go before the flight's over.
I can sleep anywhere. It's not about sleeping on the plane. It's about the time. So
no, I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
James, do you want to read that comment?
Kevin saying, wait, I want to read it first.
Why?
Nick can fly to Ireland. You know he's good for the ticket.
I was almost in tune of the song. Wow, that's impressive. It's a very niche song from a band that me and Kevin went to go see in concert once. Slaughter Beach Dog.
Well,
this is just a musical episode today.
Yeah, apparently.
No one's provoking these people to do this.
It's because you're back. You have the vibe. But I do gotta ask Dev, because Dev comes in. Dev is a friend of the pod, and Dev comes in every few weeks and tells us that he's not really enjoying AEW. What aren't you enjoying about AEW, Dev? Like, I know you're more of a WWE fan, and that's totally cool. But what about AEW do you think is not up to what you're enjoying? What could they do?
How much time do you have?
It starts and ends with Orange Cassidy's music.
Well, that's the main thing.
You know, it's saying I should learn to speak Irish before my trip. I live in Woodlawn. I'm good.
Well, wait, can we get a preview?
No. Moving on.
Coward.
We then had that carny piece of shit, Don Callis, come out to offer.
Imagine saying that carny piece of shit in an Irish accent, though. Come on.
To offer a contract to the newest member of the Don Callis family. Don comes out with holding up the contract, calling it more valuable than gold or diamonds. But then he goes on to say it has been the honor of his life scouting Orange Cassidy, even saying that he sees a younger self, a younger version of himself within Orange. Orange then comes out, and Don continues to heap praise on him, calling him an icon in the industry, and says it is an honor to present Orange with the contract and have him join the family. But as he does so, Orange takes the contract and slowly tears it in half in front of Don's face, eventually grabbing a microphone and just flat up telling Don, no. Don then goes ballistic and gets in Cassidy's face, telling nobody says no to him and asking what Orange is going to do about it. Cassidy then takes off his glasses, but he is interrupted by Stokely Hathaway and Kris Statlander. Stoke comes out and says he is AEW's number one hater. He hates everything about Orange, his hair, his glasses, how nice he is.
The way that he talks.
Yeah. Goes full Kendrick Lamar on him. But he hates everything about Orange, much like he does Willow Nightingale. But the only reason he's even out here right now is because Kris Statlander wanted to say something, and he hands the mic to her. Stat then announces that on behalf of her best friend, she accepts Don's invitation to the Don Callis family. We then have the camera cut back to the ring where we see Trent, who's in a very sharp suit, standing behind Orange, and he immediately attacks Orange from behind. Trent quickly bloodies Cassidy during his assault and doesn't stop until he finally gets up to see Don Callis cowering in the corner. Beretta stares at him before outstretching his arms for a hug, and Don gleefully runs into his arms. And I think it was Taz who said, you got to give the people what you want or what they want.
It was.
Stealing Excalibur's line for the best friends. And then the two beat down Orange a little bit more before they leave. So, Danny, I know you think Statlander's the good guy in all this. She had a brief appearance. But I think, what are your feelings on the fact that Trent is a dick in real life and has not only turned on Orange Cassidy, which we've known about, but now he has joined the Don Callis family?
Well, it was nice knowing Trent while it lasted. He's probably going to lose a couple matches and then never be on TV again. and then he's going to end up in NXT as like a 45-year-old. So, it's been nice. It's good. It's weird because Statlander is the good guy, but Trent's the bad guy because Orange Cassidy is the good guy. But it's a complicated web we weave here, but weave it we will. But I don't mind it. It's just, I'm kind of sick of the Don Callis stuff. I don't think he's produced anything good. Since
Takeshita.
Kenny, no, to me Takesha's good on his own. The Don stuff doesn't seem to hasn't elevated him in any way.
Takeshita is succeeding in spite of Dom, and we are being very gracious with the word succeeding.
Yeah,
it's just over.
Yeah, I can't, because like Don's good at his shtick, but like,
I mean, he got booed so much tonight.
but it's like it doesn't matter because like
I agree with Danny 100% here.
Like nothing's coming of it, and it's the point where they constantly have to remind you that Ospreay is with him because you constantly forget because you think of Ospreay and how big of a star he is and how big his reactions are. You don't think about the Don Callis family anymore. Like, it's not an association you make anymore.
Danny, I know you weren't with me on Sunday, but did you get to watch any of the pay-per-view on Sunday?
The important part of Cassidy's coming out to Where Is My Mind, the most important part, yes. The end of Willow and Mercedes, where Stat finally liberated herself of that anchor that's been weighing her down. Yes.
Okay.
Why?
Well, no, because they're painting a picture with Don right now as he almost cost Will his match against Roddy, where he
tried... right, but he did cost Takeshita his match.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, because Takeshita listened to him. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
It is. My problem is like legit Don. I like Don as a character. I think he's very good at what he does. But the story that's being told with Don is essentially he's got to be the worst manager in the business. Like, Chris Jericho wanted to join the family. He didn't accept Chris Jericho. Let's just say, hypothetically, there was a world where Orange Cassidy was going to join Don tonight. What does he do to get out of the situation that he created? Because he clearly had already made a deal with Trent Beretta. So do you have, like, it doesn't make sense.
Did he though? It didn't seem like he did because he was cowering in the corner when Trent was doing that beatdown.
He was selling it because what had happened was he wasn't just cowering in the corner. Trent was beating down Orange, and then Don tried pulling Trent off of Orange, and then Trent was still in a rage, and he kind of scared Don into the corner. But then that led to the hug. And Statlander only came out to accept, on his behalf, joining the family, meaning that the offer was there. So it doesn't make sense. It's silly. And again, we know that there was no way Orange was going to join. But does that mean that Don didn't think there was any way Orange was going to join? It just feels... And even beyond that, why does he want Trent? Trent lost to Orange clean at the pay-per-view. There were no shenanigans. He's a loser. And I love Trent. But he's a loser in AEW. He has never won a title. He just lost against the guy that you didn't get for the family. Why do you want him? I'm not upset that Don Callis is on my TV. I am upset that it just doesn't matter when Don Callis is on my TV. The way you said it, Danny, like, we're not getting anything good out of it. Takeshita doesn't get anything. Everybody else, admittedly, it's not his fault, but people just keep getting hurt, whether it's Sammy Guevara or Powerhouse Hobbs or whoever it is. And we have this story that you could tell with Will Ospreay that we're just not getting. I guess they're pushing it off until like after the match with Swerve that Dom is going to dump Will. But am I supposed to believe that Trent Beretta is going to beat Will Ospreay? Because I don't see that happening.
JR believes it, and that's all that matters. Kevin Wise, Games, I'm going to say it's pronounced, said, Don Callis is a good mouthpiece for people who can't speak proper English, like Takeshita and Will Ospreay.
Damn, bro.
I want to counter that with, sometimes you do need those people, sometimes you don't. Asuka, I don't understand a goddamn word she says, but when she speaks in that tone, I get her. I understand. When Will Ospreay, I don't understand a goddamn thing he says, but when that guy says bruv, I feel that. I feel that in my bones. All right.
Well put. Well put.
I think I'll agree. I think I'll agree with you guys. Catalyst is being very poorly written, or at least everything around him is.
Yeah.
Because you're right, James. A lot of this doesn't make a lot of logical sense. Now, does part of me think that they, with the whole, Chuck E. T thing happening, and now Trent, kind of got freed up, did they see an opportunity to put him with Don because Don just needed bodies in the family? Yeah, maybe I could see that being a pivot that they decided on because, like you said, everyone's gotten hurt and he needs a few more guys. Whatever war is coming with Will Ospreay, so maybe that's the reason. But it's inconsistently booked. I think he's a good character. Obviously, Takeshita is really good in the ring, even though he kind of lacks some character. Just besides, he's Don's top guy, or I guess Will is, but he's Don's protege. Will's got a good character. Fletcher is Will's friend as a character, and Hobbs had some character, but. Yeah, they're so inconsistently booked, that entire family and Don himself, that it leads to people being like, why should I care? Which is unfortunate because there's a lot of talented people involved in that group.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right.
So wait, what's next? Is it the TBS title match?
There was a quick interview and then it was the TBS title match.
Was the interview the Statlander one?
It was not. That is after the TBS title match. Would you like me to stick to the Statlander one? So you
I just want to jump to that real quick because my TV did lose a lot of the TBS title match and skipped straight to that interview. So I would like to just take this quick forum to say that Kris Statlander is the good guy. She is right. Willow is the bad guy, not because she's a bad person necessarily, but because she showed up in Chris's life, and Chris's life just got worse. Kris was the TBS champion. She was dominating fools. She was having matches every week. Then she started hanging out with Willow and starts having tag matches instead of just singles matches. And those matches get spread out a little more. And then she loses her title. And then she's not on the pay-per-view. She's on the pre-show where she loses in her hometown to Willow of all people. Then she stays by Willow's side regardless and keeps having to eat the losses because Willow can't get along with Stokely, even though Stokely's a stand-up guy who's never done anything wrong.
Wow.
He's just to heal friends with a face. You can do that. Those are the best relationships in wrestling.
It's not a good relationship.
It's a great relationship because either one's going to turn the other one heel or one's going to turn the other one face. It's a fun, who knows what's going to, well, they won't they, kind of thing. But Willow just kept sticking her nose in between, getting involved, tearing a rift between them, making it about herself, winning Stat's title. Didn't even give Stat a chance for it to win that title back after she was screwed out of it. And then all of a sudden she gets the spot, she gets the title, and then she's going into the feud with Mercedes, just not even appreciating how much her friend is there for her. Just like Rey Mysterio all over again. How many times has Rey Mysterio got to get turned down before you're like, hey, you might be the problem here? Okay.
Sting too, right?
Yeah. The Sting is the damn near perfect wrestler. His one flaw is that he's too trusting. He gets turned on all the time. Okay. In this case, Willow's the problem. All right. Stat did nothing wrong. Stokely's a stand-up guy. Jack Perry should be TBS champion. This is stuff everyone else knows.
He doesn't have the hair for
Wait. I need to know. Did you mean TNT? Because either way, this is hilarious. But
I didn't mean anything. I just think I'm just saying what we all think and have always thought. You know, I think we've all been on the same page about a lot of this.
Yeah.
You know, Bullet Club Gold is great. We've always said that.
Not anymore.
Well, no, they're the Bang Bang Gang. But no, it's great. Well, look, if Juice Robinson's in, I'm in. Okay.
Yeah, fair.
So whatever that guy does is great. And if his weird friend Jay White, it has to be the centerpiece, fine. You know, we'll get that. Eric's not here. I'm not going to bother with the Jay White stuff. Point is, Kris is great. Kris should win the feud. And then Willow should just be happy for the time that she had, because Kris didn't do anything wrong besides be a supportive friend to an ungrateful friend.
I'm going to agree with you on one thing. Statlander should win the feud. She should, because I think Statlander should go out and just start dominating people and probably make a run at the AEW Women's Championship at this point. So I will give you that. Oh, Eric's here, so I'm expecting a long diatribe about Jay White. While we're filling for that, I will just run down what Stokely and Kris Statlander said in their backstage promo, because it started with Renee attempting to get a word in with the trainers following Orange Cassidy's attack and trying to get an update on him. However, Stokely comes over with Statlander and just steals the mic from Renee and tells her to get lost. Stokely then claims that everything with Willow started during the four-way match that I believe Danny mentioned to become the number one contender for the TBS Championship. Hello, Frank. Good to see you, buddy. When Willow knew that her best friend wanted to get her title back. However, this is Kris Statlander, the former TBS champion, the best in the world, the woman who came back from back-to-back ACL tears when most of the bitches backstage get a sinus infection and don't want to show up to work. Before you get offended, he's talking about the men's locker room. He hasn't even gotten to the women's roster yet.
That was a good line. I thought that was a good line.
He then gives the microphone to Statlander, and she says that when she finally decides to do something for herself for once, she gets booed because people don't actually care about her. They only care that she's there to make sure everyone else is okay and be a bodyguard for all these spineless people who know she's going to clean up her messes. She's done being the protector, and they're all going to need protection from her. Great first heel promo from Statlander, too.
And she got some cheers for it, too. It wasn't even like...
Fans love her. Love her. Yeah.
It's everything's going to be fine. Count your days, Willow.
I'm happy for the turn because she needed to.
Yeah.
She needed to do something. She needed a shot in the arm. I am a little concerned about where she goes because I don't see her going for the TBS title. And I don't know how a feud with Toni Storm would go for her right now. I mean, granted, if they're trying to get her booed, that would be a good way of doing it because fans are so behind Toni. But I don't know. I don't see her winning that feud.
I mean, maybe she could. She doesn't have to, though. But just picture her facing Mariah May, her beating the shit out of Mariah May, and Toni just on the outside of the ring crying about it, like so concerned for her pupil. Which, by the way, I know I haven't been here in like 1 or 2 weeks, but like, man, Toni Storm is just genuinely sometimes the absolute best thing on the show.
Yeah, she's absolutely killing it.
Did you see in her the press conference when she read a page out of her upcoming memoir and just completely creeped out Tony Khan for 3 straight minutes? It was absolutely phenomenal. She is doing the best character work, arguably in all of wrestling right now. She is so good.
Frank agreeing with us, she really is. And that he loves every segment of hers. I can't disagree. And it's saying the problem with the turn, I guess in reference to Statlander, is they prepare for the turn and not what comes after. To an extent, I agree, but I don't know. It's too early to say that here with Stat. I think I agree with these guys.
What comes after is the feud with Willow.
Yeah, but
that is what after.
What comes after that tends to be a problem sometimes with AEW. So
Yeah.
we shall see about
Well,
that.
cards need to align at that point. You know, you don't know where things are going to be.
I know it's not something that you guys are going to particularly care about, but I could easily see her being the one to take the Ring of Honor title off of Athena. And again, I know that doesn't feel like a huge win because it's Ring of Honor, but considering the run that Athena's having, and considering that Stokely is this like authority figure in Ring of Honor, at least I think he still is, it would make sense to book that feud, and it would make sense to book that match, and it would be an excellent match that nobody will watch, but it'll be an excellent match.
That's the problem, I think, is unfortunately no one would watch, and I do think they're trying to build Statlander up for something a bit better right now.
Yeah, I agree with Rev because you just started saying that, and I completely zoned out because you said Ring of Honor. And
I like the idea on
yeah.
paper, but like you said, no one's gonna see it, no one's gonna care, and every time they bring Ring of Honor feuds onto the AEW television, all we do is get comments about how there's too many titles on Dynamite. So, yeah, Frank's saying he wishes they would use Athena on AEW instead of or on top of Ring of Honor. A lot of people don't follow Ring of Honor, and I would too, dude. I mean, like James said, she's having the run of her career right now. But I just mentioned, people hate the crossover between Ring of Honor and AEW for some reason, or at least in our chat.
I also think it would be tough to do because Athena is so dominant in Ring of Honor, so dominant. She's not undefeated, but she's damn near close to it. And if you're having her do that in AEW as well, like you can't have her losing in AEW because it devalues her in Ring of Honor. And if she's that dominant in AEW as well, there's no excuse to not at least consistently have her in the title picture in AEW. So I understand why you got to keep her separate, but it does suck because of how friggin' good she is.
Yeah. And I did one last thing on this Statlander thing before we double back around. Although let me leave this comment first from Kevin. Just wait till Ty Conti, although it's Ty Mello now, comes back and changes the entire landscape of the women's division.
No, it's not. It's Ty Guevara now.
Well, no, she's been being billed as Ty Mello. Even after they got married, it was Ty Mello on TV.
Give it time. I think they're going to bring her back. Yeah.
Just imagine Ty Conti, Mello, Guevara, whatever you want to call her, versus Becky Quinn at All In. That's definitely what's going to happen. 100%.
I stand by. I think Becky Quinn is a great wrestling name.
It really is.
I think it is too, but we're not going to get into that right now. But
yeah, fair enough. What I was saying though was just to close the loop on Statlander. Well, they closed the loop with Statlander when she came out for Trent and addressed him as her best friend earlier. So yeah, close the poop. Well done. So. I think that's just another thing. They've done that. They did that a lot tonight where there was just like a couple of like weird hanging threads and they were able to, close them all off. And this was just another one that it really enjoys me when they do little things like that. And I feel like AEW has always done it quite a bit. WWE has been doing it more. And it makes me happy when shows reward you for paying attention. And I think we got a bunch of that.
I wholeheartely agree.
Yeah,
genuinely though, I do think the Statlander Willow story has been well told, and it's one of the best things the women's division has produced in the past 6 months because it's been going on since November, really. So it goes back further than that, but it's been going on for a long time. They were consistently on TV almost every week, not always on Dynamite, but usually on Collision, rarely ever on Rampage. So. It was featured every week, and it was not always about the title. The title was involved in the beginning, and then again at the end. But for all the months in between, it was not about the title. So I think that's to give actual props to it. An undercard storyline. They did a good job with that. I will say.
I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I do think AEW. It does need to be acknowledged. It might not be leaps and bounds better, but we're certainly seeing a better treatment of the women's division.
That being said, Saraya versus Mariah May got bumped off the show. So,
but isn't it going to be next week now?
Yeah,
but at least it's still going to be on a Dynamite, and we got at least kayfabe wise, it got bumped for another women's match, which may be worse.
Yeah, it's kind of worse, honestly.
Yeah, that is kind of worse. But
Bro, like what I'm about to say is gonna sound outrageous, but like I didn't need to see fucking Moxley wrestle Rocky Romero. Like
I agree.
that's like, come on, why the fuck is that
It was
on
good,
the
though.
show?
It was
Frank
good,
asking, did they run out of time, and is that why it got bumped? I don't know I don't know why specifically, like what the change was
I think
behind
it
the
was had to-
scenes, but in kayfabe, yeah, it's probably because Mercedes ended up with the title match.
All right.
I
Behind
mean,
the
I would say it's because that main event was a fucking clusterfuck and took up a lot of time. If I had to guess.
I also think, and it's like I said to Rev before you hopped on, AEW had the Warner Brothers Discovery execs there, and
Surprise!
I think if you're gonna highlight a women's match, you're gonna highlight Mercedes versus Sky Blue as opposed to Saraya versus Mariah May. Mariah May is a great worker, and by all accounts, it looks like Saraya is sort of finding her groove again, but undoubtedly, Mercedes Sky is a bigger matchup and a better quality matchup.
Plus, you get to put a title on the line on the show because I don't think there was one tonight. You had two champions wrestling, but adding a third match in where there is a title on the line also just adds more intrigue. So it was a smart move.
All right, I mean, no, look at it this way though: they're executives. Do you really think they care that much about the quality of the match, or do you think they would have? Do you think they would have been excited to see Mariah May kiss Saraya? Why don't you think like an executive? Okay, because you think these executives, bro, you do think like an executive, James. So why aren't you thinking like one now?
Because
You're
I
the second most sexist guy I know. Like, what the fuck?
Don't do that.
Like, I know you're not thinking like this.
No. At the very least, like in kayfabe, it's got to be third if both Dylan and Eric are a part of this.
It's up for debate. We can make a whole video about it one day, but have a game show, I guess.
I'm just thinking in terms of what's going to get a better crowd reaction in terms of matches. I think Mercedes versus Sky is going to get a better reaction than Mariah versus Saraya. That's all.
Listen, Frank, let me be frank with you. Okay, first of all,
can I be
New Yorker? Really? Come on. Who lives there? They want to see quality in-ring product, not botches. No, they don't. They're executives. They don't care. They just care about money. And if they see two girls that they think are attractive and those two girls kiss, they're going to be like, hey, put that on TV more. Okay? Have you seen dramas on TBS and TNT? Because I haven't, so I don't know if my statement has any validity to it. But, they sure do show reruns of The Big Bang Theory. But...
It's a hell of a lead-in.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Young Sheldon. Can't believe they killed him in the finale.
Yeah, it was a shame. Just wanted to say hi to our friend Chrome. What's going on, buddy?
Chrome?
He said there was a wild main event, crazy match. Don't know if the winning choice was the best, but a hell of a match. We'll get to it later in the show. Kevin saying TNT knows drama.
There you
go. Chrome also called Trent joining Don Callis. And he's also saying people aren't ready for Stephanie Vacar. Yep. He saw her in New Japan and she's fire.
You know what's funny is I think I saw her in the same exact show Chrome watched her in too. I think it was I think it was Windy City Riot. And she was good. She was very good.
Frank also saying, once again, if it looks bad and they botch, they'll think it's a bad product. No nuts. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Frank,
don't do it.
It's a bit. All right, I wanna get us back on track here.
It's like nothing good is gonna come from the follow up.
Oh man! All right, Frank. You live in New York, right? Big mistake putting that in your username. All right, clearly Rev knows you, so he knows where you live. So
I assumed he was one of yours.
What am I? I wouldn't be friends with someone named Frank. First of all, that's garbage. That's a boring name. He's probably a garbage man, which is a respectable job. So you know what? Maybe I like you, Frank. But you know what's funny is I was gonna bring up a point that he just said.
Shit. Wait, hold on. You were hoping for him before.
Oh, what's up, Jay? Jay, what do you care, bro? It's all about Ethan Page and Braun Breaker right now, right? What do you care about AEW right now? Saraya and Mariah are Bot City, so is Banks historically. exactly. I don't believe that, but I knew you were the type of person to believe that. And then you're like, yeah, go with Mercedes or Slasha, like who you think also botches a lot. So like by your own logic, who gives a fuck then? And Sky Blue doesn't botch; he's the least experienced of them. It's wild. Anyway.
I'm ready to mute both of you just to keep this under 3 hours.
What did I do?
Not
Yeah,
you.
James, keep it together,
No,
James.
Frank and him. Frank and Danny. Can I get the show back?
Oh my god, Frank, come on,
Your name
Frank.
is-
You're like you're close enough to like you're probably my top 2 favorite commenters right now. So like you're doing a great job, honestly. But dude, don't take our opinion seriously. 2, never take your own opinion seriously. This is good life advice. This show is off the road.
Yeah, can I get it back on, please?
No, absolutely not.
All right, so we got to double back a little bit here because we went to the Statlander promo. So after Trent joined Don Callis, we went backstage for an interview with Daniel Garcia and Daddy Magic. Garcia said that he was feeling stuck in the mud lately, so he's decided he's going to drag his muddy feet across some of the red carpets that have been laid out for some others who have recently joined the company and go after the International Championship. When Renee reminds him that Will Ospreay is the International Champion, Garcia responds that he doesn't care who the champ is. He's going to climb the rankings and make Will's bag a little bit lighter for those international flights. We then went to a match we mentioned earlier, which was Mercedes Moné against Sky Blue for the TBS Championship. We've discussed a lot about why this happened. So the how is, I'll just jump to the end here because we had Sky hit a full Nelson side slam that Mercedes was able to kick out of. Sky then got Mercedes up and hit the rope for Cold Blue, but Mercedes was able to counter by getting Sky onto her back to set up and hit the Moné Maker, picking up the win. After the match, the much teased Stephanie Vacar came out onto the stage, and the 2 women held their titles above their heads, seemingly setting up for something coming up at Forbidden Door. Danny, you said you missed most of this match, even though James has a mouthful of food right now.
Oh yeah, sure.
But,
I mean,
but what you did see
we
in
got to
this
let
match-
the pros talk. The guy with the mouthful of food.
What you did see in this
I'm
match,
here, baby. I could speak. It's just an airhead. It was a singular airhead, maybe 2, but at least 1.
don't it?
That's a
Airheads
lot.
used to take me like 20 minutes to finish.
It's the minis. It's the fun size ones.
Points to the stands.
So it should take you like 10 minutes. It's less.
All right. Well, all right. So then, James, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, no, I got it.
I honestly, I think like Danny, I missed some of this match. Excuse me. But I did see the end. I obviously liked what I saw of it. Sky Blue continues to impress us every time we see her in the ring. And I said earlier, I did like the setup for this match and the fact it happened tonight. So good stuff all around. And it's just nice to see Mercedes continuing to prove that she is 100%. Hey, look, a cat. 100% as we saw Sunday, and then as we saw again tonight.
You're talking about the cat that we saw Sunday, and do we see a cat Sunday?
Unfortunately not.
Mm.
No, I thought this match was great. I talked about it a little bit earlier. Sky Blue is definitely Eric is so sad. Sky Blue is definitely fitting a slot very well of being a perennial contender, a perennial feeder to champions, to put on great matchups. And considering how young she is, I'm not upset by it. Her time is coming. It's going to happen sooner than later, and I think she's going to kill it when she does eventually become a champion. This match was very good. I did love, I don't know if you noticed, Sky kind of hit like an inverse of the Moné Maker. Like she had her and then she spun her out onto the side. I don't know what the name of the move is, but she kind of
it was when she was in front of her and spun her out to the side.
Yeah,
she had Mercedes in a full Nelson and then hit her with that like side slam. I didn't know the name of the move either, but it looked cool.
I just know Aiden English used to have it as a finisher. But I thought that was a fun play on Mercedes' moveset. I thought that was very well done. I thought I thought Mercedes looked a lot smoother in this match than she did in the match against Willow. I thought the match against Willow was fantastic. I thought it was a really, really good showing. But I think Sky being closer in size to Mercedes allowed her to do more with her and allowed her to play the match a little bit differently. So I really enjoyed this. I think we said it before the pay-per-view happened. I really hope once we get the first match out of the way, we're just going to be seeing Mercedes wrestling more. And I think this was a great way to get the ball rolling on that. 2 matches in less than 7 days. Hopefully that momentum picks up. I don't need her to wrestle on Dynamite next week, but maybe she wrestles on Collision. So hopefully.
Yeah, and similar to what we said with Swerve earlier, we don't need her wrestling every week, but every other week, whether that's Dynamite or Collision, and it's and as long as she makes an appearance, I'm very okay with that. And also too, she has missed a year. Easing her back in is probably paramount. Having her go every week after missing a year might be a little much to do right out the gate like that. So every other week, I'm pretty cool with that, especially if have a wrestle on a Dynamite and then give her a week and a half and have a wrestle on Collision, a week later, or 2 weeks later, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So good stuff. Even Dev liked the match. So, and Chrome, agreeing with you, James. People need to realize it's difficult for Mercedes to have a good match with Willow, considering their size difference. So, and I would agree with that. I don't even want to say a good match. It's a different type of match. Like
exactly.
You have to wrestle that match much differently. The same way, Swerve had to have a different match tonight with Killswitch than he did with Christian because there is a size difference there. So either way, I enjoyed the match tonight. I enjoyed the match Sunday, and it's really good seeing Mercedes coming back at 100% and looking like she did before she got hurt.
By the way, for those in the chat who were concerned, I do believe Frank actually did subscribe. So,
hooray! Frank was fun.
There we go. Come back, Frank. I actually liked Frank.
He was
I
very
don't want
offended.
it to be misconstrued.
I mean, he went out like a friggin' boss here towards the end.
Woo, and he's gone. Energy received. See ya. He feels like Ric Flair right now. He's out. So if he feels like Rick, that means he's probably going to come back.
Oh, that was his comment. I thought that was a bot. That seemed so. That did not seem like it was typed by a human being.
All right. After this match, we had Stokely and Kris Statlander, which we talked about, and it was just Danny and Frank were just going back and forth with each other. It wasn't anything crazy. You can always watch it back after the show.
He's just a funny commenter.
Yeah. We then had a video package for MJF's return on Sunday. I was very excited about that. And then the Elite came out to address the TNT Championship. Obviously, I think it was on Monday or Tuesday.
It was yesterday.
So it was Tuesday, yesterday. Adam Copeland came out and put up a video saying that he unfortunately broke his leg during his barbed wire steel cage match in which he retained the TNT Championship.
Surprising nobody.
Malachi Black. Yeah, still don't know what he was doing on that jump. I was like, how the fuck did he not get hurt? And then I saw him limping out with Gangrel carrying him essentially. And I was like, yeah, he's hurt. And it explained why that spear wasn't his best at the end of the match.
I think he hesitated on the jump. Like, I don't know what it was, but I think he maybe got in his own head with the jump. And then he didn't commit to the elbow drop.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
He clearly wasn't like sideways either. Like
he landed straight. He landed on his.
It looked more like he was trying to protect. I thought he was trying to protect his hip and try to go more straight down.
That's what I thought too. But clearly,
whatever it was, it wasn't great. Kevin, we'll get to that comment in a second because it's not important to me. Anyway, so the Elite came out to address obviously what's going to happen with this championship now that Copeland is going to be out for quite a while. So Okada came out and he started things off with a welcoming "shut up, bitches," responding to some CM Punk chants that were starting up from the crowd. And then Jack Perry jumped on the mic saying the Elite run this shit. Tony and Kenny handpicked their dream team for Anarchy in the Arena on Sunday, and the Elite still won, with Perry taking his piece of the dragon when he pinned one of the greatest of all time, Bryan Danielson.
That was a good line.
Not that big of an accomplishment, but all right.
Good line, buddy. I think no, I wouldn't be able to pin Bryan, but somebody in this pod
Depending on the match.
Bryan. If somehow
If it was for a title somehow,
Yes.
yeah, you would pin him.
if somehow we were deciding a championship, I'd have Bryan beat.
Nicholas then grabs the microphone and hypes up the release of their sneakers this past weekend. I'm not gonna lie, they are really fucking nice. I think I like them, and I've always loved the pump.
Yeah, I would get them.
And then he announces that they have, the Bucks do, gifts for both Okada and Perry. First, he gives a gift to Okada, a matte black Lamborghini, which actually makes Okada quite emotional.
He sold it beautifully.
It was great.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
For me, no. Oh my god.
And then the second he handed the mic over, he just went complete deadpan again. It was
Yep.
so good.
Which is why he's great. Matthew then grabs the microphone to get to some business before announcing Jack's gift, saying, first of all, that he wanted to apologize to Adam Copeland for jinxing him before his match because he told him to break a leg when he went out there, and then Copeland actually went out and broke his leg. Matthew then says he will be forced to strip Copeland of the TNT Championship, saying the network is on their backs about having a new champion, so they have to do this. And they know just the guy who to put the title on. Coming off the biggest pinfall win of his career, the scapegoat, Jack Perry. And I'm sure somewhere Danny was rejoicing at this revelation.
100%. You gotta give it to my boy Jack Perry, dude. Like, are you kidding me? My guy's earned it.
And
I
then
don't
it was
understand. And then it was
Boner
ripped
was
away.
quickly killed by Christopher Daniels, who interrupted Matthew and came out. Is it Daniel or Daniels, James?
Daniels.
Daniels, thank you. He came out and announced that Tony Khan had rehired him. However, this time it was to be an interim executive vice president with the full authority and backing of Tony Khan. After telling Matthew to respect him by calling him by his God-given name of Christopher, because Matthew called him CD, Daniels then announced that there will be a series of qualifying matches that will lead to a ladder match at, I believe it was Forbidden Door. With the first match taking place Friday. He said on Friday Dynamite, but I'm guessing he meant Rampage. In the greatest town he's ever been in, Los Angeles, California. Matthew says that's all fine and good, and they're happy to have CD back, telling the rest of the Elite that they should show him how happy they are as they hop out of the ring and attempt to go after Daniels. However, they are quickly stopped when CD gets them back up in the form of the Acclaimed, and the two groups come down, stare off, and talk shit for a little while until they switch gears on screen. So first things first, as I said, not a tournament. It is a series of qualifying matches, so don't worry, Kevin. Second of all, this was, I think, one of the better ways to do this because I feel like you did end up getting the heel heat of the Elite giving the title to Perry without having them actually give the title to Perry, which I thought was pretty smart. Happy to see CD back, of course. And I'm curious to see how all this ladder stuff goes, James. I don't know who's going to be in the match. I obviously would assume Perry is, and then it does seem like some members of the Acclaimed might get in there. But hell, you might even get some New Japan guys in there. So I think this is going to be probably a fun series of matches, and then we head to what's always fun in the ladder match.
I think
Well, for old time's sake, I'd hate to interrupt you, James. I'd hate to do it, but
Bravo.
just for old time's sake,
Alley-oop right there.
I just can't understand why we didn't just give the title right to Jack Perry. I mean, this dude deserves it. I mean, he's the best part of the group, obviously. You know, he's really earned his spot back as a pillar, and he just, I don't know, like, I feel like I'm not saying anything too crazy. We're all big Jack Perry supporters here on the pod, so, like, I don't think this should shock anyone, but I just can't imagine. I just think it would have been funny if you just gave the title right to him and then they're all carrying around titles. Crumb Knuckle, don't take what I'm saying serious. Anyway, but also, yes, but get in there is not bigger. Well, great. So glad we're gonna have qualifying matches. Whatever. But no. But yeah, Perry can still win it. That's fine. Why would he be pissed? He doesn't have any of the context, right? James is pissed at what I'm saying right now.
Very.
Frank hasn't been watching long enough.
This ain't right.
What's not right? What are you mad about?
Nothing. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, that's what
James, you're on a podcast. The entire fucking point is to talk about it.
I have been carrying the torch that is Jack Perry for a year now, basically, close to it. Longer, really. And it's not fair. It's not fair that now that he's hot, now that he's made it work, Danny's getting all of the love and the credit for the scapegoat Jack Perry. It ain't right. It's wrong.
I mean,
I
told you, man. I told you well in advance.
Fuck you, Eric. Fuck you.
Look, man, no one's.
Eric saying that James has always hated Perry. Kevin saying no, he's gaslighting you. Have another airhead. Eric
Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
Eric following it up with "You're never on the right side of history."
Oof. And there's a lot of important things that have happened in recent history. That says a lot.
I mean, James, we've been doing this podcast for what, though, 2 years now. If you haven't figured out the fact that they're always going to steal your thunder like this, like, what are you doing here?
I need a win.
There's no thunder to steal. It's a sunny day. Okay, there's no clouds in sight, no thunder being stolen.
It wasn't a couple hours ago. Did you guys hear that thunderstorm? Did you guys get that? That was wild.
I actually did. Yeah. It was pretty
we all
crazy.
live within like a 10 to 20 minute radius of one another.
And Frank probably too.
Yeah, but like that is so like sometimes I've gotten storms here and people like further south than me haven't. So
I guess that's fair. But
James, seriously, the segment.
I'm okay with this. I agree with your take, Nick, that we kind of got the best of both worlds. That there was the heel heat of awarding it to Perry to have that taken away from them. Love Daniels coming back. I'm glad that's not something that lasted too long of him being quote unquote fired. So happy to have him back.
And also too, I saw somebody mention this. I don't remember where it was on Twitter or something, but now we actually have a face authority figure that can speak because Kenny clearly isn't around, obviously. TK just doesn't want to be on camera, and I understand that. So now we got CD as his proxy, and I think that's a pretty good move here, so especially if somebody who's a good a promo as CD or as good a promo as CD.
As long as he can get the nights of the week correct and call Friday Night Rampage as opposed to Dynamite.
I thought it was because of the playoffs that they moved Dynamite next week or something. I was like,
I did too. I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but no, that wasn't the case. I'm all for this. I think a ladder match. I think it would have been fine if they had just awarded it to Perry, but I think you could stretch this out longer and have a nicer payoff if they have this ladder match. And realistically, Perry could just still win it.
Yeah.
So, and he could win it through shenanigans and fuckery, which just gets more heat for him. So I think in general, this was a win. I think they did a lot right here, and I'm excited to see who's going to be in this ladder match.
I'm very much looking forward to it. As I mentioned before, considering it's Forbidden Door, it could be a whole swath of people, especially now too. I think we're going to see some CMLL guys at this Forbidden Door show as well. So we can get some good luchadors in there, get some New Japan guys in there, get some AEW guys in there. And then, as you said, let Perry win with shenanigans.
I hope they don't overdo it though, because I want to believe that there's somebody else in the match who could actually win it. Like, I'm not going to expect a CMLL guy to actually win it. I'm not going to expect, maybe to a smaller extent, I could expect a New Japan guy to win it, but I doubt it. So at least give me another AEW contender that's viable. And the most important thing to come out of this is I am super excited that we're probably going to get Daddy Ass versus Okada. I think that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun.
That would
Daddy Ass should
be
win.
great. And also, too, I think that considering the fact Perry is most likely to win this ladder match, and obviously we'll learn more about it as the weeks go on and we get closer to Forbidden Door, but early returns are he's going to win. I kind of like the fact that despite the fact CD came in and was able to assert his authority, it still kind of backfires on him at the end, and he doesn't actually gain any ground because Perry still has the TNT Championship, and it's a good win for the heels there, and then CD has to kind of try to claw the power back again. So there's a chance for some really good storytelling here, and I'm looking forward to it. I wanted to hop in with Chrome for a second, saying CM Punk was the best and worst thing to happen to AEW because of this elite and scapegoat situation is pure gold right now. And yeah, this is making lemonade out of lemons. They were handed a shitty situation. They let it, play out for a while, and Perry was able to use this to his advantage. And now that he's joined the Elite, this EVP Elite team is, as you said, gold. They've just been really, really good since they've all joined together. So I love where they're going with this storyline. I love the Bucks. I love the Okada. And as I said, Perry is making the absolute most of what he's been given right now.
And we
Just like I always knew he would.
Absolutely, Danny.
Absolutely him. What?
All right, I'm gonna go to bed. Good night.
On that note, good night, Danny. It was good to have you on the show. I don't even want to call it special guest star Danny Hernandez on the show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on. I said that with sarcasm, right?
That's all he needs. Doesn't matter.
I know.
When that gets edited into the intro, there's gonna be no context to it.
Just an absolutely, Danny. All right. Let's move on. Just ignore them. We then went to a Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana backstage promo. Nana starts it off by saying they should call Swerve Stevie Wonder because no one can see him. Swerve then said that he needed to take out a legend in his title reign, which he was able to do on Sunday by defeating Christian. And then he was able to get his win back on Killswitch, taking a trophy of his own. As for his next contender, he's curious as who's going to be because he was backstage near sorry, it's in mad respect for Danny sticking with Perry all this time. He popped me on that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, Swerve is by Gorilla, and you can see the guys who are going to be in the casino gauntlet match. Where was it? Yeah, I saw some surprises, some former champions, and even some current champions who can all step into Swerve's house and get stomped out.
Whose house?
Swerve's house. Ron's house. We then came. It's was that Dogma? I love that scene. We then came backstage. We then came back from commercial. To a backstage promo from Roosh, where he congratulated MJF on his return, but it immediately calls him out for whatever reason, saying if you mess with the bull, you get the horn. So
no, he didn't say. You got to say it the way he said it.
How did he say it? That's what he said.
You're gonna get the Hearns.
Fair.
He said Hearns for some reason.
Accents. Anyway, but that's what I was saying. It does appear that it looks like Bruce will be MJF's first, I don't know, feud or at least match upon his return, and I like that. I think that he's a strong enough guy where it's intriguing, and then MJF can beat him, and Bruce is a good guy, to start him on a heater.
Yeah.
So
I just don't care about Bruce.
I know, but they stuck him on Collision. You never really see him.
That is true. Yeah, when you're right, you're right.
All right. Now we come to the main event of the evening. which was the Forbidden Door Casino Gauntlet match to become the AEW Championship #1 contender. I wrote that wrong in the bottom line, so we can all just ignore it. A reminder of the rules really quick. This is a sudden death match where you can win by pinfall or submission with a new competitor coming out at a random interval. So we started with Switchblade Jay White and Pac, which was pretty cool as, hey, look, it's Producer Boy, which is pretty cool, obviously, after they faced off on Sunday in the match for the Unified Trios Championship. And Pac there for a while was seemingly getting one over on Jay White, but that was all quickly interrupted by Mystico. And I immediately saw Mystico face off against Pac. I was having flashbacks to motherfucking Sin Cara. Even though I think this is a different Mystico.
This is the second one.
Yes, I know. No, trust me. I looked up the Sin Cara Mystico like family tree like the first time Mystico showed up on AEW a few months back, and it's almost as confusing as the English royal family. It's like just this guy replaced this guy, whose brother's with this guy, whose cousin's with this. It's just you need like a degree to fucking understand it all.
Yep.
Anyway, just to run through all the competitors that came out, we had, as I said, Mystico was third, followed by Will Ospreay, then Shooter and Shota Umino, Claudio Castagnoli, Leo Rush, Orange Cassidy, and our final competitor was Hechicero, which I believe, Chrome, that was the guy you were commenting on, the second CMLL guy who came out.
Who had a great match with Bryan Danielson like a month or two ago.
Yeah, he's really cool. He is a submission specialist, and he was getting submissions on everybody out of nowhere, and it was awesome. Just a couple of things throughout the match, because this match, you gotta understand, I do try to take as many notes as possible. This match was so fucking chaotic. There was no possible way I could write down everything. But Ospreay and Shooter had an amazing sequence when Shooter first came out for his entrance. That was awesome. I don't know how often they've got in the ring together, but they looked like they had wrestled a million times. It was awesome. Quick thing from @McGriff on Twitter here. Whoever came up with this casino gauntlet idea has created one of the greatest things I've ever seen. This shit is incredible, bro. I 100% agree. I think this is my new favorite match type. It's like a faster paced Royal Rumble. It's awesome. We also had Orange when he came out. I believe he changed into his black shirt again, and he also came out to wear Is My Mind as opposed to Jane when he came out earlier. But he was clearly still banged up. He had a bunch of tape around his head from where he was bleeding, and every time anybody even blew on his head, he was grabbing at it because he was in so much pain. Probably, concussion, and I put that in finger quotes. I'm going to get to the end here. Now, mind you, this all happened in about a span of 30 seconds. I had to go back on Twitter and find it all because it all happened so fast, and I couldn't type it. So there's a back and forth between Pac and Jay White, and then Pac hit a shotgun dropkick to send White into the corner. He goes up for the black arrow, but Juice Robinson comes down and shoves Pac off the top rope. Orange then comes in and goes for the orange punch on a Day's Switchblade, but White is able to counter and hits Orange with a sleeper suplex. White then goes to the Blade Runner on Orange, but Ospreay comes in and blindsides White with the hidden blade and completely wipes him out. Ospreay then grabs Orange and gets him up with a Stormbreaker, but Orange counters that with a Hurricanrana almost into like a fucking code red because they did like the full flip, and then that goes into a pinfall attempt that Ospreay is able to kick out of. The kick out sends Orange into the ropes, so Orange hits the ropes, comes back in, goes for an orange punch. Ospreay ducks that. He hits the ropes, hits an Oz cutter, and picks up the win by pinning Orange Cassidy. That was all 30 seconds. It was insane. After the match, we briefly saw Mystico get in the ring, and it almost seemed like he was trying to challenge Will for the International Championship. We'll see if something comes with that. They were like pointing at each other, and then he hopped in the ring, and Will was holding the international title. Not sure what's going to come of that, but that all got kind of overshadowed by the fact that Swerve's music hit, and he sauntered down to the ring. And as we went off the air, we had the two champions stare each other down. James, as I mentioned, this is my new favorite type of match. It is fast-paced. It's awesome. We get cool surprises of people joining. I was not expecting Shooter, although I probably should have. Definitely not expecting Leo fucking Rush.
I was super happy for him.
He looked amazing. I wasn't expecting CMLL guys, which is cool. Just this match type is awesome. The sudden death adds something to it where you're always on the edge of your seat because it can end so quickly. Yep. You know, that was why it was so difficult for me to take notes. I didn't know what the end sequence was going to be. Yep. Even as all these guys are hitting all these moves so quickly, I'm like, are they going to finish this here? Because somebody else can come and break it up. Now, Granted, I think you had pretty much all the CMLL guys just take out everybody outside with dives by that point. But you didn't know who was going to somehow recover and come back in and break up a pinfall or a submission and keep the match going. I have my heart rate up now just thinking about it again and talking about it again. I love all of this. One nitpick, I wish they would have acknowledged Claudio and Shooter knew each other and had teamed before. Other than that,
I agree.
Other than that, this was perfect. No notes. Make this an entire pay-per-view.
Wow. Big.
Like the whole.
So
it can't be sudden death then, but.
I really love the matchup. And this is actually the first time I got to watch it live because the last time they had it, I wasn't around.
Right. Yeah. I remember I did the solo that night. I very much like the match, but I will say there is one tweak to it that I would make. I don't like that theoretically the match could. What's up? Oh, you know it in the chat.
Yeah.
Lots of actions in 30 seconds sounds like my sex life.
Oh, you know it.
It's been on one tonight. He's been going fire.
He has. My issue with the match concept is I don't like that theoretically. I don't think they would ever book it because why shoot yourself in the foot? But theoretically, the match could end up having only like two people in it. It could just be like somebody could get a win in 30 seconds and then the match is over.
Yeah.
I would have it be like War Games where you can't actually get a pin until everyone is in the match. That's the only change I would make.
I don't know, but because I kind of like the franticness of it can end at any time. And yeah, you're right. It would be kind of weird if every time like 8 guys always came out and no one could ever win in the first, 2 or 3 guys. Even by like a lucky one, I'm sure at some point we'll probably get something like that, which will be semi-disappointing, but I'm sure whoever gets that pinfall will have a lot of heat anyway. So, but I think I like the way they set it up. I really do.
Yeah. It was well done. It was a well performed matchup. I'm just worried about how it could be booked in the future. That's my concern about the concept of the match. The match itself was excellent. Mystico did great. I was so happy for Leo Rush, who not only looked great, he got a great reception.
Yeah, he got a good pop.
The crowd was really behind him, and I was happy to hear that. Claudio looked like a force to be reckoned with in the match. Like, people looked scared when he entered the match, and I love that for him. I don't know if you were paying attention during the commercial break, but him just hitting the giant swing on multiple wrestlers during the commerce break. He hit it on
Ospreay. Yeah, I liked Ospreay trying to wiggle out of it. No, Claudio was just like, nope.
Yep, I love that. I loved it. Hechiseto looked great. That pop-up sleeper that he hit,
yeah,
that was awesome. That dude
is a wizard.
Legit. He is legit.
I think it was his nickname. Isn't it like the Magician or something? Like
I wouldn't be shocked because he was making magic.
Mago.
He was making magic. So every performer made the most of it. I do want to say before the match even started, how great was that entrance with all 4 members of the Bang Bang Gang?
Yeah,
it feels right. It feels right to have all 4 of them back.
I need Juice like foaming at the mouth in their entrance. It's so much. It makes it so much better.
Dude looks rabid, but great showing. I loved him getting involved the same way twice, like he did at the pay-per-view. Doing the trip up on Pac was a good touch. Okay. I am not touching that comment.
I'll go for it. You know it. Following up on his previous comment, I always get the win in 30 seconds, but the wife takes the L and orders batteries from Amazon.
Listen, God.
That's a good one. Well, you're taking a sip there, James. I'll go to another Chrome comment here. Claudio's reaction when Ospreay got the pinfall victory was funny as hell.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good point. And so this is also something, James, because you mentioned the format of the match. Like I think we talked about after the first one, Chrome saying they could make this match like an hour with eliminations, which would also be cool. It'd be like a Royal Rumble, but with pinfalls and submissions instead of over the top rope, which could be cool as well.
Yes, to an extent, because it would be a cool match type, but it does go against something that I agree with Eric. Or no, what Eric posted in the tweets when he put it on the screen, that you run into a problem that you have a lot of top names taking losses in a match.
Yes.
This match protects a lot of people while also getting them all involved. That only one person needs to eat a pin or a submission, and you still get top name after top name after top name in the match.
Yeah, which is something I think I talked about as well. It just makes more sense this way.
Yeah, TNA has a match that I really like. That's a new match type. It's called the 841, where it's an 8-man tag that turns into a fatal 4-way.
Yeah.
That turns into a one-on-one match. And I love it.
Wait, so I'm sorry. It's I know the 8-man tag, the winners of that go into a fatal 4-way, and then it turns into a one-on-one match.
So the winner of that becomes the number one contender.
And they have okay.
Yeah. So I love the 841. But I do want to say I'm loving that all of these companies are giving us new match types. Like we're getting some fresh stuff. So keep it up, every company that has 3 letters. But I'm very nervous about the finish. I'm very nervous about Will Ospreay being the winner. He's now won both of these matches.
Yes. And last time, obviously, he won the Intercontinental Championship on Sunday through it. So
Intercontinental.
Excuse me, international. Fuck, I've been really good about that recently.
It's okay. Her name's Daisy, not Scott. That was a reference just for you.
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
I got it.
I'm nervous about a champion versus champion situation going into Forbidden Door. I think you lose a little bit of the magic of Forbidden Door by having an AEW guy going after the AEW title at Forbidden Door. I like if you're gonna have a pay-per-view all about like cross promotion, maybe you have a guy from another company going for the title the way they've established the last couple of years. Unless they're just having, I don't know what the CMLL world title is called, but maybe it's that. Maybe it's the CMLL world title. Unless they're going to have that match as well as the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship on the line, which I think we can assume it will be.
Yeah.
I a little bit of a bummer. Now, granted, Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland is going to be an incredible matchup.
Oh yeah, that's
incredible matchup. And based off of what Chrome said, which I'm going to agree, he really thinks that Swerve will put the first L on Ospreay. I think so too. Now,
I'll third that.
What?
I'll third that.
Yeah. Now, I don't necessarily think or know it'll be 100% clean, and that's not even necessarily on Swerve, but I think there's going to be some shenanigans involved in that matchup. But beyond that, it is going to be an excellent match. I would have made.
I was going to say, because Chrome asked a question, and I just want to double check it. It's not title versus title, correct?
Yeah, to my knowledge, no. Unless
at least they haven't announced that yet. So
yeah.
Unless they change that in the next week or so, I don't.
Can you imagine winning a match to become the number one contender? But that also means you have to put your title on the line. That would suck.
Yeah, because my theory right now is I think Ospreay is going to have to defend his title and then go for Swerve's title.
I would love that. Love that.
I really, unless he went into business for himself, I really think there was a reason Mystico went up to him and tried to challenge him for the title.
Yeah.
Unless it was just something he just wanted to do, like not even going into business for himself. He just wants to, go challenge Will Ospreay or wrestle Will Ospreay, which is clearly something you just be in the back like, hey, I'd love to have a match with Will sometime.
Yeah.
You don't have to go into business for yourself like that. But I do think, though, that would set up the opportunity of Will defends the Intercontinental Championship, maybe against somebody from CML, maybe from somebody against New Japan. Honestly, I don't think he would lose, but it'd be kind of cool if he did lose it to some point. Somebody lost it to somebody from New Japan just won that title at some point would be cool. Anyway, but he goes up against that person, has like some sort of injury, he ends up winning the match, and then that's why he loses to Swerve, because then it still protects Will because he was hurt, and then obviously you can get on, that he loses, and Don turns on him. Chrome theorizing that the Don Callis family turns on Ospreay at Forbidden Door, then Takeshita or Trent dethrones Ospreay at All In, and and he thinks he should put it on Takeshita. That's plausible. I do think whatever happens at Forbidden Door, which it appears to me most likely going to be an Ospreay loss to Swerve, that would lead Don to most likely, kicking Will out of the family. And then I do think you get, hopefully Fletcher goes with him, because I can't
imagine he wouldn't. I can't imagine.
Yeah, because I do want to see, United Empire back together. So that would be cool. Also, Chrome thinks the Swerve's going to win. Hangman shows up and attacks him with the Elite backing him up, and Hangman wins the title at All In.
I don't know. I feel like they're going to make Hangman a face again.
Yeah, it seems like he's the heart and soul of AEW. I feel like he's a guy who ends up going against the Elite.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. I would not be shocked if when it's all said and done and the Elite storyline is like they're beaten, it's going to be Swerve and Hangman on the same side.
Possibly. Yeah. I think a lot of that depends on who's fucking healthy.
Yeah, no, of course. And I also think that's way down the road too.
Yeah.
Like Kenny's got to be back at that point, and I mean, who knows what the hell Ibushi's doing. But
Eddie, Kenny. I thought you said Eddie. I was like, Eddie's going to be out for a year.
Yeah, minimum at the rate it's going.
Yeah. I hate to say I called that, but I called that, right? They have to fix his leg before you can he can even try to fix his knee. So
such a bummer.
Yeah.
It wasn't an ACL and MCL though. It was ACL and meniscus.
Yeah, still bad, but it's a little easier to rehab.
Yeah. But look, great main event, a lot of fun action, interesting winner. Going to lead to an excellent matchup, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a match between arguably AEW's two hottest talents right now, on the men's side at least.
Yeah.
So great matchup.
And me to Coke break a leg. Yeah.
That was one of the Jacksons who did that.
Yeah, no, it was Matthew, not Nicholas. Matthew's my brother. No, I called what happened to Eddie after he got hurt. I was like, oh, he broke his leg and he tore this. I was like, he's going to be out longer than they think.
Can you imagine it was the opposite? Can you imagine, like, randomly, I think Eddie Kingston's going to break his leg soon. And then he just, and then how bizarre that would be.
Just randomly call. That sucked. I've called baseball players injuries before, but those are easier. It's just like, oh, yeah, this guy who throws 100 is going to have Tommy John within the next year. And he does it within the next week.
So you're just a harbinger of pain. Good to know.
No, I do watch some Mets. It with a very poignant question in the chat. How come a loser leaves town match never takes place in the wrestler's hometown? That's a good question. Why do we drive on parkways and park on driveways?
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Can you imagine you lose a loser leaves town match and then you have the choice? You either have to lose your job or you can never go to your hometown again. Which one do you choose?
I'll lose my job. I can always find another one.
Yeah. But yeah, no, just to finish up, I'm excited for it. I thought everybody delivered in this matchup. I don't think there was a weak opponent. I don't think there was a weak participant. I think everybody had a nice moment to shine. And I thought the stare down at the end was huge. It was huge. We have two champions in AEW staring face to face with one another, leading to what will be a huge main event on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, and I'm super excited about that match. Despite the tricky booking, I'm super, super excited. Like I said, that match is going to fuck. And on that note, that was Dynamite.
We got one question here.
Yep.
From Chrome. Do we think AEW is in the mud like a lot of people claim? I think it's a complicated answer. I think there are certain things that were in trouble. I think, inarguably, the ratings being as consistently low as they have been is not a great sign. It's not a great thing that's happening. I think their demographic is up and down. There are some weeks that the demographic is great, and then there are some weeks that the demo is down, and that's bad. I think they've bounced back a little bit in terms of ticket sales. I think they're doing a little bit better in terms of ticket sales, which is great. But in terms of the product, in terms of the quality of the show that I'm watching, typically every Wednesday, typically some Fridays and Saturdays on occasion, I think they're delivering an incredible product. I think we go through a cycle where every month people are worried about the quality of AEW, and then they have another amazing pay-per-view. This is a company that knows how to put on excellent pay-per-view showings. And I think their weekly TV is also pretty strong. Is it always batting 1,000? No. I think there are some times that, the product is a little uneven, but that's anything, not just wrestling. That's anything that you consume in terms of quality content.
Yeah.
So I think personally, as far as this is my answer, I'm not speaking for Nick. I want to hear what he has to say, but I think AEW is creatively on the upswing. I think they are delivering a much better, consistent product week in, week out, month in, month out than they were doing towards like the back half of 2023.
Yeah, no, I actually completely agree with that. I do think that creatively they got stuck in a little bit of a rut there. I don't want to blame MJF, but a lot of that was, I think, a lot of people would point to the end of his title reign as something that they didn't really enjoy. I saw somebody yesterday, I don't remember if it was in the chat or on Reddit or whatever it was, saying, it kind of jumped the shark when he beat Jay White in the manner in which he did. And I was like, okay, that's fair. I didn't even agree with the way they did that much either. And then obviously, your biggest star of the last 3 years left, or 4 years left, because he was injured. Obviously, he came back on Sunday. You had a whole bunch of other people leave. You had the CM Punk stuff had just happened. There was from All In, or I guess I would even say All Out, because All Out was really good. There was creatively a decline, and that went to World's End. And after World's End, there was a large reset, and I think they had Full Gear, and then I think it was a Full Gear Dynasty and now Double or Nothing, or am I getting that backwards?
Full Gear Dynasty, Double or Nothing. Yes,
I think that was the order.
Yes.
Full Gear. We had the reset in the middle, and then Full Gear was like the full reset, and then going up to Dynasty, we were, they got back to I think where they were around the time of All In.
Revolution was in there somewhere too.
Oh, Revolution, yeah, sorry. But either way, like whatever it was, the order, I think it was Revolution, not Full Gear. Revolution, then Dynasty, then.
Yeah. Revolution is where Sting retired, so yes.
Right. So I think, like I said, that hit the full reset, then we cruised real nice in the Dynasty, and now we cruised real nice in the Double or Nothing, and these pay-per-views are hitting, and I think Dynamite is hitting again every week the way it was, earlier last year. So I would say they've recovered, and I think their dip in, quality also coincided with WWE's really skyrocketing, the return of The Rock, the bloodline stuff getting reignited because of that, and then everything with Cody, and even you can even look at stuff like Dom and Mommy and like a whole bunch of other stuff. And we've talked about this. WWE's ratings went up, AEW's went down, and that coincided again with both quality and the fact that some people just don't have the bandwidth to do both. And now I think, Chrome, he's even saying, he stopped watching WWE because it's not the same product. And I've heard people say it's not the same product it was, heading into WrestleMania than it is now. So I don't know. I think like you said, these things they come and go. They fluctuate. They go in waves. I think maybe right now AEW will gain a little bit more ratings wise. Maybe WWE will drop a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be as good as it was when AEW started, and I don't think it's going to be as bad as it was at the end of last year, where the gap was so large. So I think we're probably somewhere in the middle. That quality back on track though, and that's all I can ask for.
And just for my own take on Chrome's question about WWE, do I think WWE is as good as people claim to be? I think WWE puts on 6 hours of TV a week. And I think to get 6 good hours of TV a week is impossible. I think it's impossible. I think what they do well, they do very well. Like, for example, I think the Chad Gable story they're telling with Sami Zayn and the Alpha Academy is great. I think that's excellent storytelling. I'm very sports entertained by the Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan stuff, you know. But then on the flip side, on SmackDown, they're struggling a little bit, in my opinion.
I haven't heard a thing from SmackDown since WrestleMania.
I don't think it's Cody's fault. I think it's that there's a serious lack of top tier talent for him to wrestle, and it's not that it's void of it. It's hard to tell certain stories right now. It doesn't make sense for Cody to go against buddy Kevin Owens, even though Kevin Owens would be a great title contender. They're holding off on Randy Orton, even though Randy Orton versus Cody is going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's money right there.
I think there is a lot of potential for WWE, and I think WWE is doing well. It's hard to be consistent with 6 hours of TV a week. So, go ahead.
Oh, this is it. And Chrome brought up again. Let's be real: the Bloodline and Roman were the only good thing in WWE for 2 or 3 years, and now they're lost. I'm not going to say they're lost, but they similarly need to reset a little. They did just lose their biggest star in Roman Reigns, and so and obviously now we have a new champion. They just did the draft, and everything's the dirt's kind of settling for WrestleMania, and they really got to figure out, okay, what's the direction we're going to take the title in? Well, who's our top stars, or the top guys who are ready to face Cody? Yeah. They're just ramping back up again, and it's cyclical, and this is always going to happen. So right now, is AEW a little bit of a better product than WWE? Perhaps quality-wise, depending, on your tastes and whatnot, but it's cyclical. AEW's in an upswing right now. WWE's in a downswing a little bit coming off of Mania, though I heard Backlash was really good. I don't know about Saturday's show. Although I heard that French crowd made Backlash. Yeah. But, WWE will level out and they'll come back up probably as they head into SummerSlam. So I'm not concerned. All the products are good right now, I think.
That's the key. I think no matter what, if you're a fan of wrestling, this is a great period. Downswing for some places or upswing for certain places, I don't think it matters. I think consistently you're getting a good product. WWE delivering right now, more or less. AEW delivering better than they have been in a little while. TNA, I think they're doing very well consistently. And now with this connection to WWE, Chrome making a good point. If this TNA WWE collab doesn't have AJ Styles showing up at TNA, you'll riot. I'll be honest with you. You're like the fourth person that brought up AJ going to TNA to me specifically. I thought it wasn't going to happen because AJ's been very clear. While he respects his time in TNA, it's not a time period he wants to go back to. I think the story they're telling is very much setting up him going back to TNA for a month or so. Hell, even Drew McIntyre teased going back to TNA.
Yep.
So I think the fact that we're talking about this and there's excitement in our voice, and there's excitement in my voice.
Oh, yes, Jim Packed, we know.
But I love when wrestling is all-encompassing. I loved when AEW and TNA had a relationship. I love when AEW and New Japan have a relationship, and CMLL or at AAA. I love when wrestling companies play nice with one another. Because I think as fans, so much excitement and so many possibilities are now open to us. So I think no matter what, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan. watch whatever you want to watch, enjoy whatever you want to watch, and if something doesn't appeal to you, just don't watch it. You don't have to. And I'm not saying you specifically, Chrome, just in general to anybody.
Yeah, the royal you.
Yeah, just enjoy what you do. Don't watch what you don't enjoy, and let everybody have something they can enjoy. I think that's the beautiful part of wrestling right now.
And stop hating on people for liking what you don't like. Stop this tribalism bullshit. Edge told us to stop, and we should stop. I tell you one thing we're not going to get out of all this, though. AJ Styles is not bringing back his TNA theme because he fucking hates it.
He really, but you know what? Randy hated his theme for years. These wrestlers are just sometimes wrong about their music.
He said this recently, by the way. It's not even that he hates it. It's just that he heard it every fucking week for 6 years. And he was just like, I'm so fucking tired of this song. So,
I mean, granted, I hate AJ's current music.
I think I heard it at, was it Mania or whatever it was? And it was so nondescript, I couldn't even tell you what it sounds like. So, all right. But I wanted to get the show very quickly back on track because I thought this was a really good episode of Dynamite, especially following up off that amazing pay-per-view. I guess my theme of the night was they closed a lot of loops, which I really enjoyed. It was a really good job of having an epilogue to the pay-per-view while then also setting up stuff for the future. So they did a great job with that. They did a great job with putting out some banger matches tonight. They had some good promos. And once again, that Casino Gauntlet match is my new favorite thing. I will never stop heaping praise on it. So, James, I know I've been saying this a lot with Dynamite. I really enjoyed this episode tonight, but they've been on a heater right now, man. And tonight was just another great episode.
I am right there with you, man. I enjoyed myself. I'm running on very, very little sleep, and I was able to, right? Yeah, seriously. And I was able to stay focused. I was able to enjoy the show, and I think it speaks to the quality of the show they put out. So keep it up, and I think there's a lot of interesting, exciting threads that we can follow over the next month or couple of months.
Yep. MDW, must drink water. This is a reminder not to die. I guess really, really quick before we go, Chrome wants to know who's facing Okada at Forbidden Door.
Daddy ass, baby. Daddy ass.
You think he's going to face him at Forbidden Door?
No, he's not. He's not. I just really want it. Sure. Hey, Billy Gunn was in New Japan for quite a while. He had a good run in New Japan later in life. It wasn't like Jericho who wrestled in New Japan 20 years ago. He was in New Japan like 4 or 5 years ago.
Forgot about that.
So I'm all for it. But no, who do I think Okada will face?
Is it Shooter?
I mean, maybe it's a CMLL guy. It doesn't need to be a New Japan guy.
True, yeah.
I don't know. If it is a New Japan guy, Shooter wouldn't be a bad one. I do think they wrestled right before Okada left, though. So I kind of don't necessarily want to see that. I wouldn't mind if it's someone like
it's somebody's gonna lose.
Yeah, somebody. I mean, yeah, but I wouldn't mind if it's someone like Yota Tsuji, another one of like the new bulls that are going to be young. He's not a young lion, but one of the younger guys who is definitely part of the next era that they're heavily pushing up. I wouldn't mind it being Shingo Takagi.
Shingo would be cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential there. So no matter what, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. I hope they try to get Shooter the win or team him up with somebody in the BCC. That'd be fun. I am not crazy about Shooter's new hairstyle.
It looks like Okada's.
It really does. It really does. I
was like, damn, he looks just like Okada. All right, but on that note, I would like to thank everybody for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. We hope you enjoyed everything you saw tonight. If you did, we'd appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribe. Liking the video lets us know that you're enjoying what you're seeing here on the channel. Subscribing allows you, obviously, to see all of our videos as they come out. So we are back here every night for AEW Dynamite. You got your Gym Pack Zones on Thursday with James. For those of you who are big TNA fans, obviously we talked quite a bit of TNA tonight just because we were kind of going all over the place a little bit. But James will be covering the Holy Hell out of not only the show, but I'm sure Jordan Grace going to NXT and any potential for the relationship between TNA and WWE moving forward. We occasionally cover Raw and SmackDown, depending on who's available and who feels like watching Raw and or SmackDown. And of course, we do our best to cover all the pay-per-views here at the Mark It Down podcast. So be sure to subscribe and you can get all of that stuff. If you would like to follow us on any of our social media stuff, and you're on here on YouTube, you can check them out in the description below: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. For those of you listening to us on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or listening to us somewhere else where there aren't links, you can check us out on Twitter at @markitdown_pod, over on Instagram at markitdownpod, or if you want to go to our YouTube for any of our other sites, check us out youtube.com/markitdown3665. James, anything before we head out?
Nope, you covered it all. Very excited to cover TNA tomorrow, and we're getting very close to 800. We're at 776. So maybe if everybody's good, we might plan a giveaway when we hit 800. We'll talk.
Nice. James, before we do go, it's just telling you to just try to give Jack Barry a chance.
Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good night. I'll talk to you later.
So
come back to us, baby.
For special guest star Danny Hernandez and James Asante, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Mark It Down podcast. Have a good night, everybody.